This is the Patriots Pregame Show, fueled by Duncan.
He's throwing it toward Thornton, left corner of the end zone, caught! Touchdown New England!
The Patriots Pregame Show is your source for all the news and information before every game.
He took it to the house! Again!
There we
and
go!
The Patriots take the lead!
With Matt Smith, Mike Dussault, Paul Perillo, and Tamara Brown.
And the Patriots have won their 6th Super Bowl title.
Patriots Nation, welcome to the Patriots Pregame Show, fueled by Duncan.
Good morning, everybody. From a rainy, dreary, kind of chilly Foxborough, Massachusetts, inside Gillette Stadium, Matt Smith. To my left, Paul Perillo. To my right, Tamara Brown and Mike Dussault. As we get ready to kick off, well, Week 6 has already kicked off, but the Patriots will kick off Week 6 in a matter of moments. We're here to discuss the game between the New England Patriots at 1-4 versus the 4-1 Houston Texans. And it's the NFL debut of one Drake May. That's reason to get excited, isn't it, everybody?
I think so. I think Gerard Mayo said it this week that there was a little shift in energy. I think I feel that too. So excited to see what the kid has. We watched him all summer long, and he certainly put a lot of intriguing plays and athleticism on tape. And I'm just excited to see what kind of work he's done behind the scenes and how it looks here 5 weeks later after we last saw him.
You guys go into the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get a sense that there was a little pip in their step maybe this week?
Look at that to Tamara. She was in there. She was in there digging all week long.
Yeah, I think there was a respectful shift. I think everyone has recognized
that makes sense.
That Jacoby Brissett was a tough guy. He went in there. He understood his assignment. And so I think that first everyone was respectful to Jacoby Brissett, but then turning the page to Drake May, everyone is excited for him. They've all talked about the confidence that he displayed in practice, and that was both sides of the ball. From Jonathan Jones, the first thing he said, you can see the confidence in his eyes when you're lining up against him. And then when we talk to the offense, Kendrick Bourne, Pop Douglas, they also use the same word, confidence. And so it's interesting to me to see that common theme, that word used across the board from all the players that are excited to see him go out there and play today.
You told me not to ask you questions.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, well, because I wasn't, so just give a little inside baseball. I guess it's a decent time. I have not been in the locker room this week.
Right.
Things have changed. Things have changed a little bit. We talked about this on Patriots Unfiltered. There's some new rules coming in, and there's no real locker room time. Not as much locker room time. Certainly no cameras in the locker room. So I have not been in the locker room to sort of judge the vibe. I absolutely got that impression from Gerard Mayo on Friday in his press conference. Tamara and I were sitting together, and we both kind of looked at each other and were like, he seems to be talking about a renewed sense of energy a lot. That seemed to be the theme of the Friday press conference, and my guess is that's been a topic of conversation. Let's get re-energized and refocused here.
Now I'm going to ask you a question. Are you buying it?
Oh, yeah. I have... Let's put it this way. I am more into this game today, more interested in what happens in this game today than I would have if Jacoby Brissett were starting again. But I like the way that Tamara said it, like a sort of a respectful, renewed focus. I agree with that because there's no reason to, trample on Jacoby Brissett's grave here. He did, everything that was asked of him, and he did it in the utmost professional way. It's a production business. The production wasn't good enough, and they decided to make a turn, and it's one that we all knew was coming. We just didn't know when, except for Fred Kirsch, who nailed it right here in this very studio last Sunday. I thought it would be the London game. I'm watching the end of the first half of the current London game. I thought it would be next week. Fred thought it would be this week, and Fred was right, as usual.
I thought I saw something in writing that Karen Garigian actually in August had this one circled. So kudos to Karen if she picked the Houston game. All right, before we get to the keys to the game, let me ask everybody here this question. What's realistic to expect from Drake May today in his first NFL start?
I would say a couple like splash plays, or even not even a play, like just a splash throw that maybe doesn't even get completed, but a couple splash plays where you see some arm talent, some athleticism, but I think there's also going to be a couple mistakes in there too. And as I said to you, Matt, before in the pre-pregame show, just don't
Is that available onto the stream, by the way, or no?
I don't think so. Okay.
Let's hope not.
But I just don't want to see a blatant head-scratching mistake, which, I mean, to be honest, going back to Drake May in college, like he has been known to kind of have some brain farts from time to time in college. And I think we saw some of that this summer too. So hopefully he's getting that out of him and he's going to develop some consistency. But I think there's going to be some good plays, hopefully, and there's going to probably be a couple bad plays. And we just have to, let him make his mistakes and learn from them.
I think there's definitely going to be some risk with putting a rookie quarterback out there today against, a really great defense that the Texans have. But there's also going to be some reward. You're going to be able to see him develop. I think we saw that in the preseason. The more reps he got, the better he got. And as, we talked about, Gerard Mayo kept saying at the end of the preseason, like, he's outplayed Jacoby Brissett. And I think that as he continues to get those reps today, he'll continue to get better. So there'll be some risk with putting him out there. He's going to make some mistakes, but I think the reward is going to be worth it.
Paul, a couple grizzled vets like you and I fondly remember a person, a former number 1 pick, referred to as Game Day, Kenny Sims.
Yeah.
Let's
hope this goes a little better than that.
I'm not suggesting that Drake's but he does look different to me, albeit the times that we were watching him in practice. For me, in training camp, there looked like to be a different switch that he hit when he played in the games.
So I would
least
say,
to me.
Yeah, I would say that there was a difference that started with the second preseason game, the Philadelphia game. The practices and games until the second one was sort of unimpressive in my opinion. From that day that he went from the joint practice on the Tuesday to the game on Thursday, he's been on an upward trajectory ever since. I thought every practice after that he was better than Brissett. Every one after that, and that's why I think that they thought long and hard about starting him right from the outset. And I think they opted to be a little bit more patient. That's why I've I don't know. I've bristled at this notion of like, well, what happened to the plan? Why are they deviating from the plan?
Silly.
Because the plan was to play Drake May when he was ready. That was the plan. Like this identification as to what the date had to be, I don't think was anywhere near as big an issue inside the building as it has been outside.
Yeah.
Your shows for sure.
Well, every media guy, every writer.
Right.
Every writer. Why are they panicking?
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to get hurt. I mean, how many times do you hear that this week?
Oh,
Right.
geez. No.
Why this game against this defense, with Houston, with their pass rush and blah, 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 blah. Like, because they felt like he was ready this week. I think it's a pretty – I don't know if they're right. I'm not telling you that what they're doing is right. I'm just saying it's not really a deviation from, quote-unquote, the plan. They wanted to play Drake May when they felt like Drake May was ready.
And so for 60,000 plus today at Gillette Stadium, and for the hundreds of thousands more they'll be watching on television, hope today. There's hope in the form of Drake May, and I think people are really excited about it.
Sounded a little like The Rock there. For the millions and millions of fans.
No, I'm more Rockhead. More Rockhead.
No, your mouth, shut it.
Rockhead. And now let's get to the keys of the game, Matt.
You've waited all week for it.
The whole team's in the locker room right now just listening to this, waiting to hear what you're going to say.
Here are the Patriots pregame socials, keys to the game.
So if Matt Morrell types up the format and has my name at the top of the list for the keys to the game, that means I go first.
You're the
doesn't
host,
it?
Matt. You do whatever you want.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to
drive the
double check
boat,
on that.
Chief.
I just wanted
Or
to double
ladies
check
could
on
go
that.
first.
Or ladies
Well,
could go
that's-
first, maybe.
that's-
That's a little antiquated.
That's not I like that. I think that would be a good way to go. All right. So
Being told that they're alphabetical.
in that case, I will start. And I say keep it clean. And that is everything to do with last week's performance. The penalties were just atrocious last week. I have to assume it's always a point of emphasis. It had to be even more of a point of emphasis this week. But, not many players can come in with the horse collar headbutt tandem in the same drive. That was a tough one for Keon White.
Yeah.
Got to get rid of the stupid play.
Hit him in the wallet, too, on that one.
Yeah,
Those
and
two.
if you're going to help a rookie starting quarterback, you can't shoot yourself in the foot. They've got to keep it clean today.
Yep.
That's their chance. They need some other things to happen, but it's got to start there.
Yeah.
Keep it clean.
I would also connect that, Matt. I think, it's a great one. I would connect it, too, to seeing some development from the coaching staff and seeing some situational awareness, some of the end-to-half stuff, not necessarily clean along what you're saying exactly, but I think it's in the same, universe of want to see them, situationally taking advantage of things, playing right with those little details, and that's some progress I'd like to see on the coaching side. Everyone's going to be focused on May, but I'd like to see some strides from the coaching
What's
staff.
the point for?
Because I might as well just not even do my key.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Did we just kill it?
Did he steal your
just stole
Did he
my
steal your
key.
thunder?
I was just setting up Tamara, actually. Well, I don't know what it is. It was a little, it's
It was
okay.
vague, but
All
you
right,
stole
jump in.
it.
All right, go.
He stole my key. My key
It wasn't
is-
even a key, too. I just was commenting on that. So.
My key is don't be a repeat offender. To set this rookie quarterback up for success, the game plan, the coaching, the game operation has to be better. When you look at the last 2 home games specifically, the way they ended the first half was horrible. In the Seahawks game, it ended up with the Seahawks getting that field goal, the 3 points. I bet the Patriots wish they had that back. And then last week, they threw 2 passes when they could have just ran the ball. They didn't burn the clock. They gave the ball back to the Dolphins. That cannot happen when this team has such a narrow path to victory. So I think when it's up to the coaches, they have to set him up for success. Not being a repeat offender, AVP said his play calling has haunted him, so it has to be better across the board.
Yeah, but and maybe I'm a stickler for being literal, but I was looking at some of his quotes from the other day, and he was talking about the Jets game was the one that haunted him.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't say he seemed a little defiant maybe to me about the drive in the Miami game, and that was the one that was really he seemed to be really pleased with those play calls, and obviously I think we're all scratching our head over that.
And
those 2 plays.
And those 2 plays last week, it seemed that he directed it more to Jacoby, not getting it to the wide receiver.
And the receiver not winning the route.
Yeah.
Right.
It seemed like that's where the finger pointing went when listening to his breakdown of last week, but who knows?
Okay, Mike.
Yeah, so I'm going to throw back to Paul's guy, Drew Bledsoe, one of his all-time great quotes, go out there and sling it. And that's just, it's the message to the kid, the quarterback. Don't overthink this. You're a really talented player. Just go out there and play. Play loose. You're going to make some mistakes. I think, even the fans here today are actually going to be understanding of those mistakes. It's one of those rare instances, I feel like, where Patriots fans will be a little bit forgiving to him today. But, I think in the past with Mac, you just always knew you were kind of limited. And, no matter what, he had to be perfect. And everything had to, match up well for him. Drake's got a little bit of leeway with his athleticism and his arm talent. So I just want to see him play loose, have fun. I mean, it's kind of what he said this week. He said, I know I'm going to be a little nervous at first, I told the guys, but eventually I'll settle in, realize this is just a football game, just having fun. And, Paul's doing my impression of Drake. I've been working on my early impressions of Drake. Yeah. But love the kid, excited for him. Just go out there, sling it. Respect to Drew, of course, and, have some fun today. That's what I want to see.
Will they let him sling it, Mike?
I hope so.
Or they try to manage him, especially maybe in that first quarter where you're talking about that he himself said, I think I'm going to be a little nervous.
Yeah. No,
Might they try to let him get his legs underneath him?
I think that's a great point to bring up, Matt. And I think that, they want him to play in structure. They want him to play in rhythm. They want the ball to come out quick. They don't want to have to see the let him sling it kind of plays. Those ones might be more later in the game when maybe you're down a little bit, you need a spark, and those are the things. Don't play tight. Don't be worried about mistakes. Nobody's coming out here thinking that you're going to lead the team to victory today as much as we'd all love to see that, and it'll be a great boost. But no, I think that's a great point. I mean, and really, I think the most promising thing would be to see Drake May come out, play in rhythm, getting the ball out quick, not getting hit, helping his offensive line, making the right reads, knowing where the pressure's coming from. So I think that would be the most promising thing of everything today, rather than I kind of expect him to launch a bomb that everyone's going to be like, wow, it went so far. Like I said, even if he doesn't catch it down the other end, it's going to be a wow play regardless.
I feel like we'll see some improv from him too, like using his legs. Obviously, if a crease comes open, I expect him to use it. Be safe with it, but use it. And so I'm looking forward to seeing some of that where a play breaks down. He doesn't give up on the play. He makes a play with his legs.
That would be an off-platform play, correct?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
We've heard about those.
I just want to make sure I have the lingo right, Paul.
You're hip.
Yeah, I'm going to go with just overall protect the franchise, and that's kind of all-encompassing. I know that we've talked a lot about pass protection in general.
Pass pro.
That needs to be better, obviously. But I'm even talking about some of the things that all three of you have already mentioned, just in terms of he needs some support from the coaching staff as well. Let's not set him up to fail today. Let's put him in positions. And I'm not suggesting that you do the Mac Jones thing where, it's like 8 weeks into the season before you allow him to throw a ball into the end zone. Do you remember that?
Right, yeah.
Do you remember that in 21?
Yep.
Like, how cautious they were. Now, I'm not telling you that they didn't handle that right, because he had a good, Mac Jones had his best year his rookie year. So whatever. But this, I just feel like, if this score gets out of hand today, let's not ask him to drop back, 45, 50 times and,
Kill him.
Go hell bent for leather to try to catch up.
Good one.
So different things like that. Like put him in positions to succeed. Let's not, I wouldn't dial up. I wouldn't be surprised to see like a zone run read.
Yeah.
A zone read run, I should say, like the touchdown he scored against the Eagles in the preseason in the red zone.
Yep.
But can we not ask him to have too many designed runs today? Tamara's point about maybe, skipping out of the pocket and moving the chains. Yeah, I wouldn't mind. I would rather not see that 8, 10, 12 times.
Yeah.
Like against the Jets, he took some big hits running around. I'm not. It's not about injuries before people start jumping on me for being hypocritical. I want to see him run the offense.
Yeah.
Yep.
And not run around.
I know he can run around. I know his athleticism is there. It's plus athleticism. Matt and I just going to get all our we're going to get all our cliches out of the way in the first segment. So I know he physically has some characteristics that are going to allow him to succeed. I'd like to see him run the offense because that's how he's going to succeed, and then he can. Then he can do the Josh Allen stuff down the road. But you got to get A, B, and C in place first. So I'm hoping that there's some structure to the offense. I'm hoping they don't put too much on his plate, and I'm hoping that they'll, quite frankly, the offense is better with him. Better supporting him than it was for Jacoby Brissett.
That makes sense. You have to crawl before you walk, before you run.
Correct. We're a little bit past the top of the hour here on the East Coast, about 2 hours before kickoff between the Patriots and the Houston Texans. You're watching and listening to the Patriots pregame show fueled by Duncan. They will do so in today's game, and everybody sort of talked, how do they handle him early? Is he nervous? Let him sling it. They're going to do so without their number one back in Ramondre Stevenson.
Yeah,
right. I don't know how much that goes into the game plan and what they think, but they're certainly down their most productive offensive player to date.
Yeah, no question. I mean, that's a blow. I mean, there's no way you can I always get overstate and understate mixed up. Someone wrote in while I write it, and they're like, you messed up overstate and understate again. So it's hard to say how much, Ramondre Stevenson means this offense, especially when he's going, and it feels like that's when they're at their best. But I will say I think Gibson's been pretty promising in limited work. I don't know if he can execute the same kind of production with a full workload, but and I don't know if he's going to touch the ball. But Paul and I, we love Terrell Jennings this year. He got called up from the practice squad. He's probably going to be the third back. I'm not promising anything from him, but he's one guy that runs really hard and breaks a lot of tackles. And, if they need to give Antonio Gibson a little bit of a blow, maybe you do see a little bit of Terrell in the early down. So, but, yeah, it's a tough blow not having Ramondre.
Captain Obvious here, though. Yeah. Don't they need that running, as we're talking about, how do you support, how does the organization support Drake May? Don't they need to support him with a pretty decent running game today? That's got to be in the
absolutely
the job description to try to win the game.
Yeah. And I think an important part of them being able to run the football today is the offensive line, which it's trending towards them potentially having the same 5 from last week, which
there we go.
Can you imagine that's a red letter day?
Yeah.
I know.
It's incredible.
Same 5. It's like for the first time all season, back-to-back weeks of having the same offensive line. That'll be huge for this running game. Last week they averaged 7.4 yards per carry. Antonio Gibson, he averaged 5.9 a carry by himself. So I think relying on him isn't the worst thing in the world. I think he'll be able to fill those shoes of Ramondre Stevenson.
Yeah, I would make one point too. Like, last week, Dolphins were down their edge rushers, and I think everyone came out of that feeling, a little bit encouraged by the tackle play. Well, they got their defensive ends today. So if Fedarian Lowe has been making progress, if Jacobs on the other side, if they actually are considered to potentially be answers, we're going to get a real good assessment today against Hunter and Anderson, who are just pressure machines. I mean, they are, I think, 50-plus pressures between the two of them. Not a lot of sacks, but they are all over the quarterback, so we'll get a real good sense of where those two tackles are at today.
As good a tandem for the defensive ends, Paul, as I think you'll see around the league.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are pretty good, Hunter and Anderson, and they will come after you. And I agree with Mike. They had, the sack numbers were down. I think they had 2 sacks in the first 3 plays, and then that was it for sacks last week. But the pressure was pretty consistent as to what it's been. I think it went from 48% to 44% or something like that. It was a minimal improvement, and Mike is absolutely right. No Jalen Phillips, no Bradley Chubb. Big difference. Yeah. It's a big difference of what you're dealing with today. So that's something to keep an eye on.
I think just to piggyback off that, Paul, too, a lot of pressure up the middle last week. So, Nick Leverett back in there, another start for him. Can they solidify things inside? Sorry, I'm getting fitzied out there.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
So they obviously made life very difficult for an established MVP candidate quarterback in Josh Allen last week.
Yeah.
I don't think this should be any secret in diving deep into the Houston Texans game plan, but they pressure, as Paul said, as much as anybody in the league. What do you think that the prescription is going to be today for them? Pressure more with a rookie quarterback, don't you think? If they already do it, aren't they going to do it and then some?
Yeah, I mean,
wouldn't you think?
Absolutely. I mean, that's. I mean, I think they said it. Gerard said it. Or, I'm sorry, it was AVP said it this week. He said, AVP. It said, early downs they're kind of basic, but on third down people are coming from everywhere, so it's going to put a lot of pressure on Drake May.
Yeah, they do it with coverage. They're the number one pass defense in football, with Derek Stingley leading the way. I don't know that they got because I mean I didn't see any of that Bills game last week. I saw the numbers of 9 for 30 or something like that. I don't know if that was due to pressure as much as they can cover. And that's, to me, that's what I would do to the Patriots is play man-to-man and win those matchups.
Yeah. Which I think would really make for a fascinating kind of matchup because I think you'd like to see Drake today. Like, how good is his accuracy? How good are, we're seeing some of these plays where they get put up on Twitter all the time of, all right, Douglas is open right off the snap, pop, he's, got some separation. Well, it's a good coverage team. Are they going to be able to uncover, and is Drake going to be able to
and does he recognize it quickly and get the ball out quicker than Brissett was? Because that is a knock on Jacoby Brissett is he holds the ball too long.
Yep.
And the other part of that is if they are going to play man, that might open it up for things that Tamara was talking about with Drake May being able to run. Because when you play man, obviously that, so if they'll probably have, as Evan will talk about, man with a spy, robber coverage, whatever.
I don't know what you're talking
they're
about.
They're going to have someone probably account for the quarterback if he starts to run and make some plays.
And for a rookie quarterback, I think the guy's open versus the guy's NFL open.
Oh, good one,
and that's a big difference that I think he's going to learn, especially, Paul, as you attribute the Texans coverage people that they have by.
And
Stingley
again,
didn't
I
get drafted so high by accident.
Right. And I haven't seen, I haven't been watching the Texans all year, so I'm not telling you, maybe they've faced a steady stream of bad offenses, and their numbers look better than but I haven't seen anybody do that to Josh Allen since Josh Allen was a rookie, 9 for 30 or whatever it was. So my guess is they're pretty good. Their secondary is pretty good.
There were a handful of times in training camp where I remember Drake would make a throw and it'd be really close, and I remember Paul being like, "Ooh, that's a tough way to live," So there are some moments like that, which, on one hand, you're like, that's really close. So you can kind of err on, well, he got it there and they did catch it. But it's like, it's that close to being picked off. So we'll see. I mean, that's preseason
and
practice.
They've had some injuries, injury issues back there, too.
Yeah, so D'Angelo Ross coming in, former Patriot.
Is Lassiter's out, right?
Yep, Lassiter is out.
So
Kamari Lassiter.
So a former Patriots backup will be apparently getting a start here. So a little bit going the Patriots' way. Joe Mixon, it sounds like, is going to give it a go, and I think he's a huge key part to this Texans offense. And if they're able to run the ball against this Patriots defense, that could be a big key for them because New England's. I mean, we got some Sione Takitaki coming off of PUP or IR. I think he was on PUP. Actually.
Yep.
And what's Kyle Duggar going to do? So those two kind of guys could maybe change the equation a little bit. I'm just curious too with Marde Mapu, with the amount that he played. Taki and Duggar kind of do both those things. So if both those guys come back, how does Mapu kind of fit in? Is Taki able to bring some mobility to the second level and reinvigorate the run defense? Because I haven't been really that impressed, unfortunately, with the play that they've been getting from the guys that have been in there. Tavai playing a little bit out of position, McMillan playing a little bit more than I think he probably should. So can Taki give them a little bit of boost with some speed and some athleticism in the middle of the defense and maybe help that run defense a little bit? Interesting how it'll play out. Definitely eyes on Kyle Duggar if he plays or not today.
A little early for the over-unders, but can we agree that Taki's probably not going to come in and pull a Mapu and go wire to wire?
Yeah, I wouldn't think so, but I'd love to just see him involved a little bit and see what he has to offer. I mean, to be totally honest with you, when they first signed him, I kind of looked at him like Mac Wilson. I didn't really have high expectations of him coming in and really being a Bentley kind of a guy. He's not built like Bentley, but I do think we talk a lot about wanting more speed at the second level, and schematically, I think Taki is a little bit of that, but I don't know. I don't want to overstate it because, like I said, being honest, I didn't really see him as this guy. Oh, this guy's the answer to what we need.
I think you're right, Mike. I don't think he's, but I would have said the same thing about Mapu. I wouldn't have said he's not 78 play guy or
Yeah,
whatever
right.
it was last week, and he was terrific. So I don't know. Maybe we'll get to see. And I think he is like Mac Wilson, but I think he's probably a better all-around player than Mac Wilson. Maybe a little bit more physical, but he's more. I think he's more of a sub-package linebacker.
Yeah,
For a team that entered the season with depth issues and just not a lot of bodies, and then losing a lot of bodies, I think any bodies coming back is a plus. And I'm not trying to tell you
I
that
like
this
how you
guy's
said
going to
it,
be
no.
Dick Butkus.
No.
That's not the expectation. But they need reinforcement help.
Yeah,
And so any reinforcement help they can get, I think, is a positive.
I agree.
Absolutely.
Okay, no Nico Collins for the Houston Texans. And I know early in the week there were some Patriot fans that were out there, this is going to be a big break. It's not. I mean, he's a terrific player. And is their leading receiver or certainly their biggest home run threat?
Oh, he's by far their leading receiver.
But they don't have
huge break.
But they don't have slouches in the other wide receiver spots.
No,
I mean, Diggs still has some gap. You don't think?
I mean,
they
and
have
then
Diggs.
after Diggs, they're kind of.
And they have a lot of questions.
I mean, it's probably a good question for our guest coming up here of what have you seen from Xavier Hutchinson, Tank Dell? I mean, Tank Dell's an exciting player to watch. I mean, kind of that Demario Douglas type mold of quickness, but I think something's been missing since he came back off the knee injury. But that's not entirely unexpected. And I would just say, having watched guys come off ACLs, you're only a game away where all of a sudden it starts to look right.
And I will say, I've been on. Tank Dell hasn't really done much, but I think back to week 2 in Seattle, Jackson Smith and Jigba.
That was all he did all season, right?
Right? And how many catches he have that day? And
a bunch.
That seemed to have sort of springboarded his season. He's looks like he's a big part of the Seahawks attack. I don't know if Tank Dell, it's about his health. Just you see it sometimes. That year coming off of the ACL, it takes a little while. I don't know if it's health related or if he just hasn't been effective and not been targeted as much. But 13 catches through 5 weeks, he's been a little quiet. Yeah. So I wonder if maybe he's looking for a bigger day today.
I would just say, sorry, Matt, real quick. I think that the matchups, at least on paper, look okay.
Yeah, without Nico Collins,
palatable because you can make the case that Gonzalez on Diggs in key moments is okay. Dell is a smaller guy, so I mean, whether it's Jones or Marcus Jones, Jonathan or Marcus Jones,
I totally agree.
Not really a size mismatch.
That's a good point.
So I just think that the matchups are there if they're able to play well. But again, I would put the focus on the pass rush and getting after C.J. Stroud, making him uncomfortable. He's a really good player, and I don't really think they can have success unless they're able to get to him consistently.
When the Texans get credit for their drafter last year, which they deserve, of course, by the way, with Stroud, with Anderson, Dell is generally mentioned in that grouping as well as part of their terrific draft class that they had. So I think, the injury is the injury, but I think he's a pretty good player, and Nick Caserio and his team had a pretty good draft in keeping him as part of that draft class.
I mean, we were just talking about it on PU this week. I mean, I remember going into that draft being like, this is kind of Nick Caserio drafting for his job right here. It felt like, I mean, you've gone through multiple head coaches, and at that point, did you really feel confident in D'Amico Ryans? I mean, they were going against the grain like the Patriots did with a defensive coach. But I think, as Paul will tell you draft the quarterback, and all of a sudden, everything starts to look a little bit better.
If Davis Mills was the quarterback right now, and Nico Collins and Tank Dell were 2 of your receivers, you'd be like, we got a couple of decent receivers.
Yeah, now
now Nico Collins is arguably a top 5 receiver in the league, statistically.
Wow.
So, that's not just because Nico Collins has suddenly emerged as this great player. He is. He's a very good player. I'm not taking it. We had this talk during the week on PU. He's a really good player. But C.J. Stroud has made him look better. I mean, than he had looked previously.
That was the thing with the preseason game last year too. Was that was C.J. Stroud. I mean, he was the kind of how would you describe his performance in that? Not very good, right?
Less than lukewarm.
But I remember being really impressed with Nico Collins. I mean,
on that one
Gonzalez,
play. But I would also say the first play, because that was the first play of that game. How many times do you think A.J. Brown was targeted in the Eagles preseason game? That's what he is. That's what Nico Collins is now.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys.
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson's not plowing over cornerbacks in the preseason games. But that's telling you where Nico Collins was when C.J. Stroud got the job.
Yep.
And now, Collins is I think he's got 570 yards receiving through 5 games.
Yeah.
The guy's been a monster for them.
Okay,
He's a really good player, and I think Stroud was a big part of that.
Let's get an inside look at the Houston Texans, as we're joined at this time.
You know the view from New England, but what about the view from the other side?
And that's why you're our favorite pregame show guest every year.
You guys know you tell everybody that.
Oh, yeah!
I was on with you guys in 2018, Thursday Night Football.
Yep.
And I was told I was the favorite guest of the show.
Nope.
No.
Time now to go behind enemy lines.
My God, it's coming right for us!
And with that time, we're pleased to welcome Christy Reekin from the Associated Press in Houston, covering the Texans. Christy, thank you very much for joining us. As the Patriots and Texans get ready to do battle here, I think we've been talking one of the storylines this week. The Houston Texans have now become the model for which the New England Patriots would like to model themselves after, with Nick and with D'Amico and with the quarterback. Would you say that that's fair to say, Christy? And good morning.
Well, for a long time, we used to say that the Texans were kind of New England South because whenever they weren't good, it was like they were trying to replicate what New England was doing when they were great. I guess maybe now the roles have reversed while New England is rebuilding and the Texans have clearly already done well with their rebuild.
Christy, big news this week, obviously, without Nico Collins being able to play. We're well familiar with Stephon Diggs here, but just want to ask you about Tank Dell, Xavier Hutchinson. What do you expect from those guys that are a little bit further down the depth chart today?
Well, I'm sure y'all seen stuff, but I heard y'all talking about Nico and how he has almost 600 yards through 5 games, which is insane. So when we were asking D'Amico, hey, does Tank need to step up? Does Xavier need to step up this week? He's like, listen, everybody needs to step up. Nico is one of the best receivers in the entire league. Like, one person isn't going to make up for him being out. So it's going to kind of be like it takes a village mentality. And I'm interested to see if John Mechie might get some targets this week, because people here love him. They're very excited about him in camp, but he hasn't really got much action this year. And I'm wondering if he might be one of those people in the village that could help out this week.
Christy, I want to talk a little bit about the defense and specifically the secondary. The numbers are really, really strong for Houston. Obviously, we don't get a chance to see them every week. I'm wondering your thoughts on how good the secondary is, or is it as much about those two, really talented edge rushers up front? Is there a lot of pressure on the opposing passers, or are Derek Stingley and company really shutting it down in the back end too?
I think it's a combo. Of course, the pass rush is crazy. When they played the Bears, I can't remember the exact numbers, but I know I think they rushed him almost on every time he dropped back, because D'Amico being a linebacker, he knows it's easier, of course, to rattle a rookie quarterback. But having said that, Derek Stingley is very good, and it seems like he's getting better and better every week to the point where it's clear he's one of the league's shutdown corners.
Christy, I want to ask you about Nick Caserio, one of the good people here in the New England organization who left. Little rocky start there. The Deshaun Watson situation certainly didn't help. But, boy, I think Nick's grown a little bit in this role, and he's certainly done a nice job in putting this team together. I wonder what your thoughts are about Nick Caserio.
Oh, of course. Obviously the Deshaun Watson stuff wasn't great for anyone. But he, with the situation going sour, he was able to get such value in the trade from him, and being able to get both CJ and Will Anderson in that draft last year was insane. I mean, 2 players of that caliber, you get the offensive rookie of the year and the defensive rookie of the year in one draft. That's unheard of.
Christy, you got Joe Mixon back at practice on Thursday. What is your expectation for him today, and do you think he'll be limited? And if so, who do you see filling in, and how do you think that'll go?
I mean, the way he talked, they're still saying questionable, but it sounds like he's ready to go, and if he plays, I don't think he'll be limited in any way. After not playing for so long, he might be, take a minute to get him going, but him coming back would be such a huge boost to this offense, especially when they're trying to deal with not having Nico. But the one person is for sure coming back is Dameon Pierce, and he's, his backup. So, not only for the past few weeks have they not had him, they haven't had his backup either. So they've been playing third and fourth string running back. So to have one or both of those guys back this week will be a huge boost to the offense.
Christy, what are your thoughts just in general on how the Texans have played? I know at 4-1, it's a really good record, but I know there's been a lot of talk in Houston. Maybe they're a little disappointed with the way that they've gone about being 4-1. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's not. I'm going to say this based on what the players have been saying, and CJ and Tank Dell said this week, like, yeah, we're 4-1, but the crazy thing is we feel like we can play so much better. Like, we certainly haven't played our best ball yet. They feel like the offensive guys feel like the defense has really been playing well, but they haven't really held up their end of the bargain as much as they should have. But I think getting their running game back to, like, full strength will really help kind of make the offense more complete and kind of be more of, like, what they were expecting at the beginning of the season, even without Nico.
Good stuff, Christy. So we're going to put you on the spot now. A little weather maybe an element in today's game, a little cooler than the indoor Texans maybe would like it. Who do you like today, and what's your pick?
I mean, I've been really impressed with the way the Texans have been playing. Like I said, with the running game being back to full strength, I think they should win. So I'm going to say Texans 27-14.
Excellent. Christy, thank you very much. Christy Rican from the Associated Press. Enjoy the game. That was Behind Enemy Lines that we have right now. A reminder, here's a question for the crowd. If your team runs on their fans, what do the fans run on? When you kick off your day with Dunkin', we're with you all the way to the end zone. Make a run to Dunkin', official coffee run of the New England Patriots. We'll be back with more of the Patriots Pregame Social presented by Dunkin' right after this.
Without good blocking, your team's not going anywhere. Cisco blocks cyber attacks for customers around the world, including the entire Fortune 100 and the NFL. Because when the game is on the line, and it's always on the line, the NFL relies on Cisco.
It ain't my dad's razor, Dad.
Hey, watch it.
It's from Gillette Labs. This green bar releases trapped hairs from my face.
Game changer.
While the Flex, this contours to it. So the 5 blades can get virtually every hair in one stroke. For the ultimate Gillette shaving experience.
The best a man can get
is Gillette Labs.
By the time this Patriots fan is finished drinking his Pepsi, you'll be 15 seconds closer to game time. Patriots watching. Better with Pepsi.
Without good blocking, your team's not going anywhere. Cisco blocks cyber attacks for customers around the world, including the entire Fortune 100 and the NFL. Because when the game is on the line, and it's always on the line, the NFL relies on Cisco.
It ain't my dad's razor, Dad.
Hey, watch it.
It's from Gillette Labs. This green bar releases trapped hairs from my face.
Game changer.
While the Flex, this contours to it. So the 5 blades can get virtually every hair in one stroke. For the ultimate Gillette shaving experience.
The best a man can get
is Gillette Labs.
By the time this Patriots fan is finished drinking his Pepsi, you'll be 15 seconds closer to game time. Patriots watching. Better with Pepsi.
Gotta watch your NFL team every Sunday, and Verizon's got you covered for all your team's out-of-market games every Sunday afternoon. Come on! From kickoff to sign-off, from first downs and touchdowns, to turnovers, and overturned plays.
After review, the pass was incomplete.
Nice! Let's go! This season, win every Sunday with Verizon. Get a great deal on NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV, and a new phone. Excludes digital-only games. Terms and embargoes apply.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes,
oh no!
Replacements were shipped with FedEx. And with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
You've got to watch your NFL team every Sunday, and Verizon's got you covered for all your team's out-of-market games every Sunday afternoon. Come on! From kickoff to sign-off, from first downs and touchdowns, to turnovers, and overturned plays.
After review, the pass was incomplete.
Nice! Let's go! This season, win every Sunday with Verizon. Get a great deal on NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV, and a new phone. Excludes digital-only games. Terms and embargoes apply.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes,
oh no!
Replacements were shipped with FedEx. And with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
Join the conversation by calling into the TPX hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at podcast@patriots.com. Now, live from our studios, here is Matt Smith.
And we welcome you back inside Gillette Stadium for the Patriots Pregame Social presented by Dunkin' Donuts. And I also want to remind you that Bridgestone is the official tire of the New England Patriots. They're proud to partner with Sullivan Tire, New England's headquarters for quality Bridgestone tires. Visit sullivantire.com to find a location near you. Electronic mail will kick things off from Seattle, Washington, and Colin, who says, I'm loving the panel embracing the throwback gear, even if it seems Paul missed the memo.
Yeah, call him out, right?
I got to be honest, I don't have any of that stuff.
Paul, this was your era. This is when you came up.
Yeah,
Right.
I never liked that logo.
Colin wants to know, do we expect the playbook to open up significantly this week? Lean more into a little RPO game?
Yeah.
Or do we expect more of what we've seen over the first 5 games from a play-calling perspective?
I wouldn't expect them to get too crazy. I did ask our resident X's and O's expert, Mr. Lazar, this week of just, is there one schematic element you'd like to see a little bit more of this week? And he said in the pistol, which is kind of splitting the difference between being under center and being in the shotgun. I think they've run one snap of pistol to this point, not a part of the plan. So if there's one thing to look for, maybe it's that, just to take the pressure off of Drake May having to be under center a lot. But to be frank, I think they're gonna try to do what they do. That seems like what their philosophy is.
Dan from Cambridge in the UK going at Paul. So this is maybe we got a little
going at him.
Yeah, maybe a little trend.
He's wearing Carolina
not
blue.
about fashion.
Okay?
This is
He's
not
wearing
about
Carolina
fashion.
blue. He's supporting Drake May.
This is every day I wore this during the summer, someone made a comment. Oh, you're sucking up to the quarterback, I see.
Love it. Dan wants to know, how can Paul say they would play Drake
that you're wearing?
when he's ready, but not see that they wouldn't have played Drake if Jacoby hadn't played poorly? Makes no sense. I'm not going to the extreme to say this is a panic move, but of course this is ahead of what they had in mind. Paul, please defend your logic, please.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair email. It's a fair. I believe that they would be playing Drake if they felt like he was ready.
Yeah.
And I've said this before the season started, short of suddenly they broke out of the gates 5-1, and Jacoby Brissett's like this MVP candidate. He's playing so well. That changes your plan, quote unquote. But if he just played regular Jacoby Brissett football, which he did, I think it was when Drake May was ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a really good email. What if they had, I got in a little argument with my boys on my shows. If Jalen Polk gets his foot in bounds, who's starting this week? I'm like, well, I'm going to take them at their word and say Drake May.
It's a colossal mistake, Paul.
And
Let's go to
I think I think Gerard Mayo tried to set that up the previous week by saying how winning the way they won their one game was not sustainable. And then when he was asked to clarify why, he said you can't win consistently being that unproductive offensively.
Correct.
Well, even if that last play was a touchdown to Jalen Polk and the defense actually came up with a stop in the last minute and they won the game, it still was unproductive offensively for the day.
Right. Yeah. To the calls we go, and Pat from Agawam joins us. Good morning, Pat. How are you this morning? You're on the Patriots Pregame Social.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's a great morning. And I'm not just saying that because I got some last night, but I had a statement and a question for you guys. The statement is, you kind of stole my thunder a little bit, Matt. I think a huge matchup today is I would like to see them just play a lot of man, and you got to cover these guys. Like you said, Diggs and Dell are no slouches, and Dalton Schultz,
Yeah.
We've seen Duggar struggle to cover tight ends, and he's not fully healthy, so it'll be interesting to see how they match up against them. And in Drake May's first start, you don't want to get into a shootout against C.J. Stroud. That's just my opinion. And the question I have is, and I'll take it off the air, do you think if Leverett starts to struggle, do you think he has a quick hook now that they have Ben Brown, who, granted, isn't super experienced, but he's probably got a little bit more playing center under his belt? That's all I got. And I ain't got to work tomorrow, so I'll be drinking, so you might get some Cousin Patty on the post game. Let's go, baby.
Oh, Patty's having the weekend of his life right now.
Excellent question by Pat on Nick Leverett.
I mean, I think it's a little surprising that they didn't elevate
Hudson
like they did last week. Brent Brown got here Thursday, so I mean he's still a rookie too. So
so this guy has no experience.
He's got no experience. So I'm a little bit surprised.
I defer to you guys on the fourth string linemen. I go to Evan and Mike for those guys. So this is not.
You're not going with me.
So this is not a legitimate option.
No, they've been turning over every rock they can right now for centers. They also signed Hainsworth, Sincere Hainsworth, excellent name by the way.
No relation.
To the practice, no relation as far as I know. So they've really been trying to find another answer. Ben Brown was a career center in college, so I am a little bit surprised that they didn't stick with Hudson, who has at least experience within the system and has been around a little bit longer. I mean, this guy's got 2 practices under his belt, so to me that sounds like Nick Leverett through and through.
Right, no short leash.
No short leash.
Right. 11:30 here on the East Coast, and that means 90-minute meeting before the game, and that means the inactive list is out. And so for that report, let's go out into the field at Gillette Stadium where Tamara Brown joins us. Tamara, let's go over the inactives, please.
Yeah, so we just got word that Drake May will be without Tyquan Thornton and Javon Baker as far as wide receivers. And so I know everyone wants to know, how is this going to impact the rookie in his first start? Well, this week I talked to Kendrick Bourne and Pop Douglas, and they said actually for the past 4 weeks, they've been staying after practice, getting 10 reps apiece with Drake May after practice. Kendrick Bourne, of course, hopped in last week once he became active, and so they've started building this chemistry with him for the past 4 weeks now, so they could be ready for this moment today.
Tamara, you sounded a tad surprised at the inclusion of those guys on the inactive list. I might counter with Kendrick Bourne back and maybe getting closer to full speed. Those guys haven't produced on the field, and it's time to see if somebody else will. Is that a fair statement to make?
That is an absolute fair statement to make. I know Kendrick Bourne only played a handful of snaps last week, but he provides a spark that this offense needs. He is the juice, in my opinion. Last year is a noticeable difference when he's in the locker room and on the field. So I'm hoping today he can maybe get more of a workload, especially with Tyquan Thornton not active today, and be really helpful for Drake May.
Tamara, we got to get a little weather report out there. Don't get hit. You almost got hit by a ball right there. I hope you're okay, Tamara. But tell us, what's the weather like out right now? I know it was misting a little bit earlier, a little light rain.
Well, I can happily report that there is no rain happening right now, and I know it's pretty crisp outside, but I would like to report I am in shorts and a sweatshirt, and I think it feels pretty great outside. I think it's a perfect temperature. If you're outside, you're working out like these guys are going to be doing for the next 4 hours in the game, this is great weather. I know it's a little chillier than last week, but I think it's great.
Okay, maybe this is a little more difficult one to gauge, Tamara, but we talked at the very beginning of the show about juice and energy, and Gerard Mayo saying he thought that there was a little bit of renewed energy. It's early, 90 minutes before they kick. Do you sense any juice on the field in pregame warmups as you watching the players go through their warmups?
Absolutely. The sea of red behind me right now, I've seen the guys just fist bumping. They have been celebrating after catches where, it's just warm-ups. They're really excited. They're going through the fans right now, giving autographs. Kendrick Bourne is actually the main one going down the whole line giving autographs. There is a Mayday, Mayday sign out here that the fans have that have Drake May in the center rowing a boat, and in the water, it's all the wide receivers, and he's out to save them. The fans are excited that Drake May is going to be driving the ship today, and so I can't wait to see what he does out there on the field. I do want to say one more thing before I exit the field, that when you're looking out on the field today, I don't know if you can see him out here, but as far as the safety perspective, we had to rely a lot on Marte Mapu last week without Duggar and Peppers playing. Duggar is active. He was not on that inactive list. I know I only talked about the offensive guys, but I do want to give some love to the safeties who have some reinforcements today with Duggar available. So that's a huge break for this defense that was out without 2 of their best players last week.
Nice job by you there, Tamara, and by Chris to bring the inactive list back up. But I do not think that's an insignificant addition. That's great to have Duggar back in the lineup.
No, great call out by Tamara there. I mentioned it earlier with Duggar back in as well as Taki now in the lineup. How does that affect Mapu? I mean, overall, you don't really care. You want to have more guys, like you said earlier, Matt.
Yeah.
You need reinforcements. You need options. So it's great to get Duggar back. He's a huge part of their secondary. He's tone setter, big hits. Let's see if we can get some hands on some balls today, make some plays. That's what you need Kyle Duggar for. We'll see, if the other safeties, maybe Mapu provides a little bit more flexibility for Kyle Duggar. And, I think that's the thing with when you used to have Devin McCourty Kyle Duggar was able to move around. I think that was when he was at his most effective. You remember the pick six against the Raiders a couple years ago where he read the quarterback and Derek Carr and just, picked it off. So letting Kyle Duggar have some freedom, I think, is just a huge way to maximize the kind of player he is.
Look, at Duggar's a playmaker. He's demonstrated that during his career. Is it too much to say, based off of what we saw last week, that Mapu has got a chance maybe to be a little bit of that Swiss Army knife, move him around? The defensive coaches talk a lot about being unpredictable and showing different looks. I think Mapu can give you that in a couple different places, don't you?
I do too. And I'm trying not to get ahead of myself because I think like Paul and I were in the same boat. We're just impressed with him being able to come out and play as much as he did when, we talked about it with the defensive coaches this week. I went to every single defensive coach being asked about Mapu and, to a man, Brian Belichick, Dante Hightower, across the board, all those guys just saying, how much he stayed involved, invested. Hightower said this offseason he gave Mapu his phone number. Mapu's texting him in like the middle of April about coverages and things. So you hear a lot around here that, this guy's a football nerd and he loves it and he's always in the film room. And you kind of come to expect that most NFL players are, like film, or at least around here, the players that they've acquired in recent seasons. But Mapu really seems to walk that walk, and he really, really does seem like that kind of coach on the field. So I'm excited just to see how they mix him in. I think a lot of people want him to be a linebacker, and and he does do some of that. And I think that's just an interesting spot for him. But he's got to learn to see it quick, and he's got to get experience. He just didn't play all that much last year. I think he had about 200 snaps total on defense last year. He had about 70 last week.
Incredible.
So almost half of what he played as a rookie. So again, you're connected even to what we're going to see from Drake May today. You want to see those young guys get out there to stack experience, to start to learn how to play these roles. But as Brian Belichick said, a guy that can play like that and play in all those different spots just means so much to this defense and brings so much value.
So we're talking safeties, and I just want to make a mention of this so nobody says, you're glossing over it. One of the safeties that won't play this week, and he's not on the inactive list this week, but Jabril Peppers won't play for the Patriots this week. He was placed on the commissioner's exempt list, which it sounds like finally somebody decided to let reason get involved and get him off the field. Yeah. Players Association can't complain if he's getting paid or not. He'll be getting paid. And let's wait and see what happens in the investigation. Certainly, the police report is sickening. But in 2024, there's a due process that's involved. He will not play until that investigation is over. So it's Duggar and it's Mapu along. I thought Jalen Hawkins looked a little active last week, and played well. Look, it was Snoop Huntley. So I don't want to sit there and say, what's the comp? But I thought the secondary, I thought they presented themselves pretty well last week with those group of wide receivers in the Dolphins' offense.
I think so. And, I connected also to what Patty said about, maybe playing a little bit more man defense. I think this defense was really constructed mostly by Bill Belichick, originally to play man. And you have the cornerbacks to play man. I think part of the problem, though, is that they're worried about the pass rush. And you try to play a lot of man, nobody can cover forever.
Correct.
And if the pass rush is not getting there, it's hard to play man-to-man coverage when you don't trust that you're going to have that pressure, in about 2.5 to 3 seconds. So that's something they're going to have to deal with. But I do think that their cornerbacks, especially as I said at the top, they match up pretty well with these receivers, at least on paper. We'll see how it looks out there. But that might be another curveball that DeMarcus Covington could throw today to switch things up a little bit on C.J. Stroud.
855 Web Radio is the number here. Let's go back to the phones. And Christian from Los Angeles joins us. Good morning, Christian.
Hey, you guys. Good morning to you, and happy Sunday. It is a football glorious day. And here we go. So I have a question for you guys. If each of you guys were to call Drake May's first 5 plays, what would it be? And then secondly, what do you think our plan is to shut down Stephon Diggs? Or what stat line does he need to have for us to have a winning day?
Excellent questions, Christian. Mike, I'm going to let you start with the first one on the scripted first plays for Drake May.
Sure. Make it easy on him. Let him get some easy passes. Let him gain some confidence. I think he's going to be a little bit nervous. So if you're starting Antonio Gibson, you've got some options there. I think he's a good receiver. Little screen pass. Just
you want that as depending on where the ball
confidence.
Is. If the ball's in a 25, 30 yard line or something like that, first play pass.
Sure. Sure, why not? You know,
Okay.
I mean, why go so cliche and just be like, oh God, we're so scared. Just let him hand it off in the middle. You know, get his confidence. Maybe catch Houston thinking, all right, they're just going to run it. They're going to try to protect the rookie. Give him a nice little, a slant to Pop Douglas. Those kind of things. Get his confidence going. I don't know exactly how the first 5 go. You got to get to the first 3 to really see if you're going to get to 5 first. But yeah, make it easy on him. Build his confidence. I think that's a big part of the first quarter for Alex Van Pelt.
Christian's second question, which I also thought was a good one, is what's a Stephon Diggs stat line look like? Well, first of all, what's the plan on Stephon Diggs? And do you think that plan is exclusive Christian Gonzalez?
Well, I think it's going to depend again on how much man and zone they play, and I think I would definitely say on third downs, I'd love to be able to say, Christian, go take Diggs away. I don't know exactly the stat line. I would just say, no big plays. Take the big plays to Stephon Diggs away. He's also, we've seen plenty of Stephon Diggs around here. He just murdered us on third downs. I mean, it was uncanny the way that him and Josh Allen just had a connection, and it was almost like Edelman and Brady, where it's third and long. We know it's going to Edelman. They know it's going to Edelman, and it still goes to Edelman. It was the same way with Josh Allen and Diggs. So I don't know if C.J. Stroud and him quite have that chemistry just yet. I mean, certainly Stephon Diggs is a great player, and Stroud is quickly developing chemistry with him. But I would just say not letting him get those third and long catches and not letting him beat you with the deep ball. Those are 2 great places to start. If he's got a bunch of, short catches, first and second down, maybe gets, a little bit of run after catch, it is what it is. But you got to be good on him in third on long, and you can't let him get over the top, and especially you can't let him have a big scoring play.
We talked last week with the Dolphins with Waddle and with Hill that maybe the safeties would be playing in Sharon as opposed to Foxborough. I don't think that's the need again maybe this week, but do you expect that there'll be a little bit – keep it in front of you. Yeah. And whatever it takes, keep it in front of you.
Well, I think that's the first step for any defense, really, is taking away the big play. And, and I thought early on in the season they were pretty good, and they've gotten hurt with some of those plays as of late. So you relate some of that to the safety health that they've had. So hopefully having Kyle Duggar back out there, having the communication continue. But, again, Duggar's back. I don't usually get into the green dot thing. I mean, some people are obsessed with who's wearing the green dot, who's calling the plays. But when it's a second-year player who played 200 snaps last year and didn't really even play in training camp, comes in with 3 days of practice, then that interests me that he's wearing the green dot. So who's making those play calls? Who's making sure that all the safeties are on the same page on the back end? But preventing big plays, it's the first thing you've got to do as a defense.
Back to the electronic mail. This is Dougie in Scotland, who echoes some of what we've been talking about so far on the pregame show. I'm excited to see Drake May start today and, more importantly, in London next week. Do you think there will be a noticeable burst of energy and buzz throughout all 3 phases of the team to get him a win in his debut? On another note, how many of all the podcast members are making the trip over across the pond to attend the Patriots party? Keep up the good work. That's Doug from Scotland.
Yeah.
So Fred will be there.
Fred and Evan will be out, and I think
I'm
Fred,
not a podcast member.
No, but you'll be there too, Matt.
I will
You're
be
going.
there.
That's
I will
exciting.
be there. Yeah.
Know you on the pregame show next week or the postgame show.
Yeah, there's been some talk about a little FaceTime.
Oh yeah.
So what I would like to see if we could make that as opposed to FaceTime, could we make it voice time? Because nobody wants to see this face. What if it's just the audio?
Well, what if we put you on the field like Tamara is, and you give it,
I can give you a weather report.
Give us a weather report.
I like that
and
idea.
Tell us how.
Let's
how
run that one up the
there.
flagpole.
Always great to see you, though. That'll be fun. I know there's an event going on. I believe Friday night.
Yes.
We'll get the info out to everybody. But definitely go find Fred and Evan and Matt and harass them. And yeah, it'll be fun. I'm jealous. I've never been to England, and Paul has nothing but amazing things to say about the reception that the Patriots and that we all received.
That was
when
Paul's star turn, wasn't it?
Oh, I mean, he makes it sound like they were the Beatles, like
yes.
going him and Andy. So it was pretty cool when we were in Germany.
Which Beatle would Paul be?
Oh, probably Paul.
Really? See, I think that's too obvious. He seems like a Ringo kind of a guy to me.
Paul's not Ringo. Eric would have been Ringo.
We're just trying to figure out which Beatle were you as you were treated
probably.
like the
I think
Beatles.
Paul would say he's the John Lennon. He's the creative. No, maybe Fred's John Lennon. And then Fred's Paul. Paul's Paul. Writes a lot of the songs.
I got nothing.
Not
a Beatles guy.
He doesn't have the soft heart of Paul McCartney, though. I don't.
Not a Beatles guy.
I'm not.
Let's go back to the phones. Deshaun from Virginia joins us next on the Patriots pregame social, fueled by Duncan. Good morning, Deshaun.
Hello.
Hi, Deshaun. How are you?
Good. How you guys doing?
Great, thank you.
I just want to say this: despite being very, excited that Drake May is playing, and I kind of been low-key rooting for the Patriots to have bad games to show the way he can play. But with all that being said, the Patriots are really bad between the trenches. They're really horrendous between the trenches. And I think that's the reason why when you look at teams that have faced the Patriots, especially on the defensive side of the ball, the defensive line is horrendous. They're horrendous in gap control, and they're not talented enough to get off blocks. That's why teams look so good against them. So the strength is their secondary, of course, but it doesn't mean anything if they can't get pressure.
Deshaun, I love you. I love you, man. That's great.
Exciting game. It's going to be overshadowed by, by the defense having a horrendous game because I don't think they'll be able to stop C.J. Stroud.
It's a very fair point, Deshaun, and thank you for the phone call.
He's a man of my own take. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I think you get good play out of Devon Godchaux, but Daniel Quale was I think better last week, but you see what they've been doing. They've been turning over defensive linemen. I mean, they're bringing in today. Eric Johnson's inactive. Jacqueline Roy is going. It just got called up. I mean, there's cut Tristan Hill. Sorry, just cut Tristan Hill. They've been turning those positions over. They're trying to find more there. I think they need more depth. Losing Christian Barmore was a huge blow.
Again, and I sound like a broken record on this, Mike, but we talked earlier in the show about depth and a team that is lacking in depth. Daniel Quale is a depth kind of a player. He shouldn't be getting the kind of snaps that he's getting. When you look at the Dolphins late in the game, run it down their throat, it's because those guys are gassed. He's not used to playing those kind of snaps. They're probably asking way too much of him. They need bodies on the defensive line. I think Deshaun is right on that.
Yeah.
Paul,
so I will.
Sorry.
They absolutely have some depth issues, there, but they just got to play better.
Well, you're talking about from a discipline standpoint, and I agree with you.
Yeah, and I agree with a lot of the stuff that Deshaun mentioned. It's like, is it a combination of these guys not playing in the structure? I'm going by Godchaux now. Like he seems to be indicating that there's more than just performance. It's, a lack of discipline, a lack of, the rules.
Doing your job.
And I think that's part of it. Now, the other thing is, Texans offense, and we heard from Christy earlier, the Texans offense hasn't been great. So this should be an opportunity for you to, you shouldn't allow the Texans to, oh my God, the Jaguars are like a comedy of errors. It's unbelievable how many times they fumbled in this game.
Red Zone Paul back after his show.
So, yeah, I just think this is an opportunity. And I think that C.J. Stroud's terrific. I'm not going to tell you, oh, well, C.J. Stroud's not, you shut down C.J. Stroud. He's no good. No, he's really good. But for whatever reason, that offense hasn't been really good. This year they had a really good start where they scored 29 in the opener, and they've kind of been middling ever since.
Paul, any analysis on the inactives that came out while you were on your other show?
Just the thing that Mike touched on earlier, that the new guy is active, and I think Mike made a good point about it. It's just kind of strange. You would feel like Nick Leverett wasn't great last week. By some measures, he allowed somewhere on 10 pressures, and the most in this era of nerddom. I just would have thought that they would have had something a little bit more reliable than someone who's been here for 3 or 4 days, and that's not. And is it Ben Brown?
Ben Brown.
Ben
Yes.
Brown. That's not his fault.
No.
So you got here Thursday.
Not at all. Right.
Yeah.
So I was a little surprised by that.
Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the New England Patriots. Back to the phones, and let's check in with Courtney from Houston, Texas. Good morning, Courtney.
Hey, guys. Thank you for taking my call. Paul, I wanted to bring this back to you for a second because you had mentioned you've been pretty tough, not tough on Gonzo, but you've been really waiting for that next step-up moment. Interestingly enough, I had saw an interview where Tyler Cowles had talked to his personal coach, and they had mentioned that actually that they had been waiting for Gonzo to kind of maybe show more, maybe potentially do more in that man coverage, because it does seem like they may be transitioning to where Gonzo is going to be a man cover corner, and then everything else around him may be a zone. So do you guys anticipate seeing him get to a point where he's going to be one-on-one, for example, with Stephon Diggs and really just take him out, or do you guys still see they're going to try to do this unnecessary use of cover 2 or any other coverages? Thanks, guys.
That's a great question.
Good football question.
It's a great question. Yeah. I would absolutely turn Christian Gonzalez loose, and I would just very slightly, and he kind of, I think Courtney got to it. I haven't been hard on Gonzo. I've just been wondering why.
You haven't been effusive like the rest of the media have been.
I want to know why he's not being asked to do those things. Is it because they're making mistakes as coaches, or is it because they don't feel like that he is suited for it? That's the only thing in my mind.
Okay, based on the body
what
of
he's
work,
been asked to do, I think he's done very well.
based on the body of work through 5 games, do you think he has demonstrated the ability? Go lock him down.
No.
Okay.
But I would do that. I want to see him demonstrate that he hasn't had the opportunity to do
Hasn't
it.
been asked to do it.
Correct.
Right.
I want to see him have the opportunity to just say Mike's thing. Mike's favorite receiver in football, Stephon Diggs.
How dare you?
Just take him out of this game. I want Stephon Diggs,
Is he really your favorite?
No, he hates
I don't care for it.
I was like, oh.
He flicked off a bunch of Patriots fans after scoring a touchdown here once, and I never forgave him for it. So there it is.
I just would like to see. I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him just take Diggs all day today, and then you had it all mapped out. You have the smaller guys, Jonathan and Marcus Jones, handling Tank Dell and maybe John Mechie or someone.
Yeah.
Which the other guy, Xavier Hutchinson.
Yeah.
He's a little bigger, I think, though, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. I just echo the same point I made about 10 minutes ago of just, you play man. No one can cover forever. So if your pass rush isn't getting there, like Gonzalez could be great for about 3.5 seconds on Diggs, which is usually what you'd require. But when it gets to 4 seconds, he's going to get away, So I connected a little bit to the pass rush too, and that connects to the last call we had, that they've got to get after the quarterback. They got to get off blocks. They've got to play disciplined, and they've got to get Keon White, inside and have him win and get some sacks. They need that to happen for the whole defense to flourish.
When talking to Devon Godchaux this week in the locker room, he said it's been so hard you bring these guys in off of other people's practice squads. He said it's been hard to teach them how we, New England Patriots, play football when so many guys have so many different assignments. Especially last week, he was talking about, I think his name is, last name is Roy. I don't want to pronounce.
Yeah, Jaquelin.
Yeah, he talked about him. He was like, last week was his first start. He came. Yeah,
sorry,
see, I
I
don't want to
can't
mess
get
it
it
up.
right.
I don't want to mess it up. He's talking about how, last week was his first start. And so he was like, it's so hard when you're bringing a guy in from another team, teaching them our defense. They have so many different roles. He's like, that's why, our run defense has fallen off the past couple of games. There's so many new guys playing. And of course, Bentley's not playing as well. So, this week, Taki, he's another addition to this defense that'll be playing today too. So it's like, until this team can build chemistry and actually learn how New England plays football, it's going to be a long road.
Back to the electronic mail, and Johnny in Madtown writes, I love May's potential. The big arm, the ability to throw out of the pocket is enticing. But I'm most excited about having a quarterback that can not only escape pressure and scoot for a first down, but also have a quarterback for designed runs too.
Okay.
I don't think the Patriots would have done much better in the first 5 weeks with May at quarterback, but the mobility that May provides is intriguing in terms of what it could mean for an offense that wants to run the ball. And then how about this for an ending note? He feels squirrely today. Patriots 24, Texans 20. He's calling for the upset.
I don't want design runs. Like, for Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, yes, do that. Put design runs in. For Drake May, I don't want him doing that. He doesn't need to do that. I mean, look at Josh Allen. Like, he doesn't need to be doing that. Of course, he still does it anyway, but I think every now and then, if a crease opens up and Drake May sees he can extend a play, sure, but designed, I'm not here for it.
It's Paul's thing. It's in the red zone, read option stuff. That's just a nightmare for defenses too. And there's not, you're talking short yardage. It's not, he's not going to take a big hit if he gets in the end zone. That's the spot. But, it's also everybody's covered, get out of the pocket, those kind of things. But I'm all set, like Tamara said, with overall middle of the field design runs.
Correct.
No thanks.
I'm here for these kind of emails, and this is Brett in Leominster who says, I hate to disagree with Deuce, but Eric would have been Peter Best, not around when the band was great. What do you get for email of the day in the pregame show, Matt?
Good.
Anything? A key? Does
Matt
Paul
will
get to wrangle the keys or something like that?
No, Matt will mail you a
Dynamite.
T-shirt. Matt will mail you a T-shirt that never gets there.
Oh. Excellent. Is it a Patriots Unfiltered T-shirt?
Yeah. We don't have pre- and post-game T-shirts, so that'd be pretty cool. Those would be in high demand, I bet.
Okay. L from Wisconsin writes, today is the day! Exclamation point. I love the exclamation point. The first day I've had hope in the quarterback position since Brady left.
Well, this is a good spot to be right now because I've said it many times this week. It's the great unknown. It's nothing good or bad has happened, and maybe everything's going to be great. And I think we'll be probably most likely in the post-game show talking about here are some exciting things he did, and here's the stuff that he's going to have to clean up if they're going to be able to, really take a step forward with Drake. But that's okay. That's part of what you have to accept with once guys play. You start to get real information that you have to that you go off of. It's not just living in fantasy land of like, he might be the greatest quarterback of all time. We just don't know.
And just to finish the email, L writes, I'm not expecting to see anything crazy, but I'm looking for a couple throws that has me saying May can be the guy, and ends with a little LFG. Brady and LFG in the same email. I like that.
I think that's what we're all looking for. Just a couple of plays that you can say, I see it. And this is what Mike and I did every day this summer. We basically looked at each other and said, that was one.
Yeah, right.
That was one. And, as the summer went on, it was more and more of them. So it was, I think that's how we're all watching it today.
I mean, I just want to hammer the point, though. Like, what will have me most excited is not that if he hits one 60-yard bomb and the rest looks like crap. It's that
opposite.
If the offense is in time and rhythm and he's boom, back, ball out, though that rhythm, that's what will be most exciting to me. If we come in here and he executes a couple drives where he's not dropping back and he doesn't know where he is in the pocket and he's throwing this way, that kind of, he drops back, little step to his left, unloads it quick. That's the stuff that I'm going to come back in here and be fired up about, because then you feel like that is sustainable.
So how about this for, we'll do a little foreshadowing.
Do it right now. I know what you're going to say. Do it. I know.
I don't even know what I'm
I
going
was
to
going
say.
to say, I don't know what he's going to say.
I would just, watching the Jags just completely fall apart with turnover after turnover after turnover. Next week.
I know.
When we're in London. I would love to see them beat the bag out of Mac Jones
I was
going
to say, this defense will eat him alive.
That would be
Call me now for your free reading.
that would be some added juice to this game.
I forgot what game it was. It was earlier in the season, but people on Twitter were like, put Mac in because Trevor Lawrence was doing bad. They put Mac in, and it was a strip sack immediately.
Yeah,
first play.
So I'm like, what? Why are you calling for this man to play?
Exactly. Tamara, Travis from West Virginia doesn't call you out by name, but I do believe you were talking about this. And writes in, I realize that off-platform throws and extending the play are all the rage these days, but I have no interest in seeing that. If you get flushed out of the pocket 35 times a game, you're doing something wrong. That's from Travis in West Virginia.
Well, but Travis, why does it have to go from I have no interest in it to 35 times? I agree with Travis.
Yeah.
I don't want to see it 35 times.
That's a little
but
ridiculous.
Patrick Mahomes gets out of the pocket every once in a while and wins a game.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I don't want to see it 35 times.
No.
Right. Cody, Destination Unknown, writes in, you guys all look great in the throwback outfits with a fire emoji. Joe Mixon not on the inactive list. Does this change the way the game plays out for the Texans?
Our throwbacks? I hope so. That's why me and Tamara dressed that. We kind of match. I feel like we could be like throwback catalog, right?
Absolutely.
Do some modeling.
I love it.
Right?
Matt does too.
Now, is that a new throwback, Matt, or an old throwback?
How would you define that?
Because did you previously own it before 2010?
No.
Really?
No.
It's
this
giving
is a pro shop.
All right. Well, they did a good job because it captures the spirit of the of the old
I was going to say it's giving thrift store. To me, I thought he had it originally.
Wow.
It's giving thrift store.
Dig, I think, at our friends at the pro shop. Let's just finish on the Joe Mixon thing. Does his place in the lineup today change the way the game is played?
If he can go, I mean, how effective is he? But I mean, yeah, potentially, yes. I mean,
could help the Patriots.
What they did,
maybe they run it.
Yeah, well, that's Paul's whole thing. But if they're able to run for 180 yards again, like they did last week, then
and score 15 points.
Joel and
I'm telling you, that's a correlation. Rushing yards go up, score goes down.
Yep.
And that's what the Patriots need. That's how they need to play.
Yep. Joel from Ottawa writes, what level of disappointment will there be if the offense doesn't look any better than it did with Brissett? I will be extremely disappointed if the play calls resemble what AVP tried with Brissett. I'm really hoping to see a different level of play within the AVP structure.
So it sounded
a well-rounded question by Joel.
I think someone asked this in the press conference this week, but it sounded like they're going to adjust it based off of May's skill set, or at least that's what he said.
Don't you have to?
I hope so.
I just think there's a difference between better and different. Like, better is one thing, but if it doesn't look any different and May doesn't really know where to throw the ball out, and it's just stagnant and it's 3 and out after 3 and out, like that will be disappointing.
Yeah, and I don't think that there's much of a chance. Like, I don't think they have a whole new playbook.
No.
We all don't think they're going to be running a ton of zone reads, right?
No.
RPOs. There'll probably be some. And that will be different. But otherwise, they're going to ask him to execute the offense better than Brissett was.
Yeah.
And this play calling thing, and we go back to that sequence at the end of the half. it's 2nd and 2. He takes a shot downfield. The receiver doesn't get open. The quarterback doesn't make a good throw. And 2 plays later, you're punting. Like, that's not necessarily because they're not taking any chances or trying to get the ball downfield in any way. You know, like, they just haven't been able to do it. I think it will look better if May plays well, because I think May's better than Brissett. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
Paul, I think you're going to yell at me at this, but that's okay.
I don't
bring it
yell.
on myself.
I don't yell anymore.
Is it wrong of me to say, when thinking of an expectation for Drake, as we hear Gerard Mayo talk frequently about the fundamentals and getting the basics down, that I'd like to see a clean operation, in and out of the huddle, not chasing the play clock down, knowing how much time is left to get the call in, making sure the line calls, you're working with the second string center, making sure that I don't think he's going to bat 1,000 on getting all the line calls. Get them lined up, in and out of the huddle, efficient, get them lined up so they can run the play as designed, and then let's see where it's going. Like, that's where my kind of expectation, I want to see him perform those duties.
You know, I thought of it this week.
Are you concerned about that at all?
No.
That's what I figured.
But I don't. That's not that I don't want to see him do it. It hasn't been a problem in the first 5 games. I'm assuming it's not going to be a problem in this one either.
The assumption is that that he would not be elevated if he couldn't perform those tasks.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yep.
Okay.
That's why I'm not worried about it.
One thing I just kind of occurred to me this week is, Gerard Mayo is coaching the 6th game of his life right now.
As a head coach.
Of his life. I mean, it's kind of rare. Like, you're kind of in unprecedented territory. How many times has an NFL coach become a head coach, and he's never been a head coach before in his life? I mean, I know there have been coordinators and stuff like that, but
Bill Belichick.
he really wasn't even a coordinator, right? I mean,
no, he was never. Mayo wasn't a coordinator.
And how many years was he a coordinator? Even I mean, he was an inside linebacker.
He's got a scary small amount of experience in general.
So it's
absolutely
as opposed to Bill, who you snarkily.
No, I'm just saying. I don't think a lot of head coaches in the NFL were
Correct.
head coaches somewhere else before they got to be head
Right.
coaches, but some are.
But I mean, just the comparison to Bill. Bill was a position coach, a defensive. I mean, like
Yep.
15 years.
Yeah.
15 years in the league of.
Couple decades.
I mean, Gerard had 4 or 5 years, so it's. I don't think it's unreasonable to say that it's been a little choppy for them from a coaching perspective. But
Rookie
the same thing with May and any rookie, whether it's a player or coach. Eliminate the bad football. Eliminate the mistakes. Start to lock in on those those key moments. The gotta have it moments. I think back in the day, those were some of the moments where the Patriots won so many games, and I'm not saying the last handful of years, but going back a little bit farther, that able to execute in the key moments, and that's what they have to learn how to do.
And
Gabe Davis with his 2nd drop touchdown of the day,
and didn't beat themselves. Oh, okay. This is Charlie from the UK. Our UK followers.
They're getting ready for you, Matt.
strong,
They
right?
heard you're coming. And
Matt,
they're
wait till
like
they get a hold of you next week.
Well, this is Charlie who's saying, huge fan of the show. Matt, you're doing a great job, especially now that you're actually letting the good, bad, and injured segment finish. Low bar, Charlie, but I appreciate it. He's heading over to watch the Nashville game in a few weeks, and I'm so relieved that Drake is playing. I was at the Patriots-Chargers game last year and couldn't stand the thought of flying over just to see another dull game like that. That was dull. Quick question, considering you can get starting centers in the later rounds and as a UDFA, isn't our lack of depth there even more embarrassing and unavoidable than our tackle depth?
I don't know. I mean,
where does Jake Andrews
I think
fall into this?
Jake Andrews' injury, I think, was part of this, right?
Yeah, and so you knew Leverett has played some center, so I mean, generally that's you can't have a whole thing for just you can't have 3 centers on. It's just that's a hard position, and you're assuming David Andrews has been mostly a workhorse in his career, so it's just that's
a couple
how
of things
goes.
from Friday too that we haven't mentioned yet. One of them specific to this, the center stuff. Gerard Mayo did say that 100% they're going to look at Cole Strange.
Yeah.
Boy, that came out of left field.
Well, he was asked about it.
No, I know. I thought that was out of left field.
No, it's like, and I'm not blaming you because you're not like doing mailbags with like Mike and I do every week.
So you're saying that
it's
you've
a very
been getting
common
those.
question.
Got it. Okay, good to know. Learned something new.
It's a very common question, and that he was asked about it in the press conference, and he said when he's ready, it is something we're going to work with. Mike Reese kind of followed that a little bit, expanded on that by saying David Andrews was going to be sort of part of that. Possibly, oh my God, the Jaguars just dropped touchdown after touchdown. If I would Trevor Lawrence, I would go off with a shirt like the guy from Fish and Save Pittsburgh. Trade me.
Yeah, right.
Tucker.
They would catch it if Mac Jones was throwing it.
Look at this.
Tough spot.
Tough
First
spot.
of all,
The
if Mac would have thrown that probably would have been a pick. It'd have been short and a pick.
So I guess Andrews is going to try to sort of help that development when he's ready to do it. And I don't anticipate Cole Strange being ready physically for at least another month or so anyway. But that's one thing. The other part, which I think is more exciting, is Gerard sort of expressed some optimism that Christian Barmore might be able to play this year.
That's a nice nugget.
So, I mean, I think that regardless of, forget about what it means to the team this year. It means a lot to Christian Barmore.
Sure.
And it would be nice to have peace of mind that okay, he's back, he can play, heading into 25.
Especially
if that's able to happen.
Especially give him a big contract, and in the long term he's not going to be shut down.
One more thing on center before we turn the page from that.
Well, I had another question, but you'll go first. On center about that, but you go first.
So I was talking to Nick Leverett, because obviously he's steering the ship now, and I asked him, how do you feel about the chemistry with you and Drake May? And he was like, well, honestly, we were both getting the second team reps all summer long. It was us two working together.
It's a really good point.
Yeah.
And so now he's like, now that we're both elevated, we're both starting, he was like, I feel really comfortable about it. This week, I was waiting in the hallway for him to talk to him, and he was the very last person off the field. He's like, nobody's happy with where we are. The whole offensive line stayed behind to get better. He's like, we have to control what we can control, and staying after to get those reps together is only going to help us.
He's a pro. So tell me if I missed this in his, blue ribbon book or whatever. What's the guy's name? Dean Bluber or something like that? Dane something or other. Right.
The Beast.
Did Strange play center at South Chattanooga Tech? Or
no, but
well, why
he did
is
at
this,
the Senior
why
Bowl.
is this? Why is this Strange playing center?
Yeah.
How is that coming? Does he have the body for it?
Well, Senior Bowl.
No, he's actually too tall.
I mean, I think
that's what it would seem like.
I think a lot of people when they saw him coming out thought he would that might be where
he's more of a pretty athletic interior
He is a pretty athletic
lineman,
guy.
which I think people like Mike just said sort of looked at.
Okay.
Yeah,
we use that athleticism.
There's some intrigue for me there.
I cannot get past South Chattanooga Tech.
Some nondescript. I shouldn't say that. That was rude of me. All right, this one will be right for you, Tamara. This is from Brett in Denver, who writes, very important question for you. We'll be the judge of that. With Taekwon being a healthy scratch today, does it mean they're getting 2 ham sandwiches and not 3 from a potential trade partner? That does not bode well for Taekwon Thornton's Patriots career, does it? A healthy scratch?
No, it doesn't. And I was expecting KJ to be out today and Taekwon to be playing today, just because we haven't really seen much of KJ since he hurt his shoulder. And actually today when I was out there waiting, he was the only person that wasn't in red. KJ.
Really?
Yeah, he was doing his own little warm up on the side, and he wasn't wearing the red that everyone else was wearing. He was wearing navy blue. And so I thought that was very weird, and that's why I thought he was going to be inactive, because everyone else out on the field was wearing red, which is interesting. And I would have thought Taekwon would have played today, because I thought he was making some strides at least. But now I'm wondering, are we going to see more of Kayshon Boutte today? More than just, blocking for run plays.
Yeah, well, I mean...
Well, that was a heck of a play, by the way.
Yeah,
and
I mean, it's valuable. It's important. I don't want to
I'm old enough to remember when the ability to block by the wide receivers was considered a very important trait for the players that were on that position. So I think that did a lot to solidify his spot on the game day roster, simply by blocking that guy, and it was a heck of a block.
Yeah, and I will say, Kayshon Boutte, I know he's probably taken a lot of heat since last year when he didn't have his feet in bounds and wondering, would he ever get back on the field? And I feel like he's slowly, quietly, making a point that he has use on this team. And I know something outside their locker room they talk about a lot. No block, no rock. And so he seems to be fully embracing that.
Like it.
And we'll see where it leads him.
I think he's taken over the 4th receiver spot.
Yeah, he's played much more than Thornton.
Yeah, I mean, and I like his hands. Of all those receivers, nobody really has a standout trait. I mean, I'm talking about the lower end kind of, Thornton's. Baker's clearly still working through it. I mean, they talked about that this week with AVP of his, learning to line up right and all those kind of things.
AVP reference.
Yeah, we call him AVP, Alien versus Predator. But, I just think at the end of the day, it's ultimately polk.
What is wrong with
pork, bone, polk, Bourne, and Douglas. I forgot how to talk there for a second. But I think it's those 3 guys are the guys steering the ship.
Osborne was one of those guys before he got hurt. He missed 1 game because of injury. He's back, so Thornton's out.
Yeah, but
He played one play last week.
Yeah.
One snap.
One time.
I'll tell you what.
Never had one lesson.
On Friday, had a chance, a little plug for a future All Access episode. We do a feature call. Allow me to introduce myself on a team that doesn't have a lot of stars. I think Patriot fans would like to know a little bit about what makes some of these guys tick. And we sat down with Jalen Polk. That kid is mature beyond his years. I don't know what traits he brings to the table, as you sort of brought up, Mike, but he's a mature kid. I think he cares, and I think he can catch. So those things are good qualities to have for a wide receiver. Let's see if he can get some separation, and maybe he and Drake can get on the same page, because he's a good kid.
Yeah, we can get caught up in the XYZ 1, 2, 3 of it all, and separation, and all the nuance that you use to break down a receiver. I think he's a football player. I think he can be
That's
part
a
of the
fair
solution.
shout. Yep.
How many times have I said that?
Yeah, and that's you don't have to. Drill down on, is he this, is he that? Like, I love the way he plays. He's been consistently around and available, and he's got good hands, and he's a physical kind of a guy. I think that they have the makings of the lower part of the receiving core that you need. And then they still need the big dog.
If he was like on the Eagles or like the Bengals, he'd be a terrific player.
Yep. That's just a great way to put it, I mean, you get caught up in some of the details of it all, but him, Douglas, Bourne, you add one more alpha dog to that group, and all of a sudden, it all looks pretty good.
One more?
That's how Edelman.
Yeah, one. X1.
That's how Edelman, sort of flashed. Like, the first handful of years of his career, he was never a regular player. But every time he got an opportunity, he took advantage of it.
Correct.
And I think that's what Polk can be on a really good team. Problem is he's being asked to do way more than that.
Yeah.
In my view, and I don't know if that's necessarily. Now he's played 5 games. I'm gonna reserve judgment till I see him play a couple of years before I say, okay, that's too big of a role for him. Right now, I'm figuring out what he can and can't do.
Yeah, I think too. Like, what does it mean? I don't know, but hanging around after practice with Drake all summer long.
Good start.
There's just part of me that wonders, is Drake going to hit some of these throws to Polk that we saw Brissett miss over the first few weeks of the season? I think there were some plays to be had with Polk that Brissett wasn't able quite to make happen. I think Polk's probably feeling that way. I think, Pop Douglas probably feeling that way too, that Drake's skill set maybe will match them a little bit better, and maybe we see their production increase a tick.
We are under 1 hour before the Patriots will host the Houston Texans at Gillette Stadium, and let's get to over-unders, please, Matt.
It's time for this week's edition of Over-Unders.
All right. Well, it says here we all went 5-1 last week, which has the season standings as follows. No Sox continues to maintain his slim lead at 20-10. Right behind is me at 19-11 and Mike.
What am I doing? What would Hardy call this?
Sucking
hind teat. Sorry, Matt.
I don't.
Well, that's actually, I believe,
that's
suckling.
Suckling.
Wouldn't that be suckling? Wouldn't that be suckling hind mediocrity? You're 15-15.
Oh, there you go. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, let's kick things off with the over-unders with the C.J. Stroud passing yards at 243 and a hay. 243 and a hay, Paul. What do you think?
I'm going to take the over on that. I feel like they're going to have to sort of throw the ball and get a lead today. I think they'll look to get off to a good start.
Over as well. Mike?
I'm going to get crazy. I'm going to go under.
Okay. Next. This is an interesting one. Drake May passing touchdown. And the number...
Passing.
Right. The number is a half, meaning he needs to throw one touchdown in order to beat the number.
That's it.
Michael, will he throw a touchdown today?
I can't jinx him today. I got to say, he throws a touchdown. Place goes nuts. Yes. Over.
Paul?
I'm going to take the over as well. I think he throws a touchdown.
3-4-3.
Late.
3-4-3. I'm with you on that timing as well. Longest completion of the day. It seems like this number's been around this area for the last several weeks, and it's at 35.5. 35.5 for the longest completion of the day. I am going to go under on that.
So it's a little bit of a switch that, I don't know if you guys are paying attention.
A play.
Matt Morrell, he's sneaky.
Sneaky.
This is a completion.
Yeah.
So No Sox takes the under. I'm going to take the over because you know why, Mike? Follow the trends.
Yeah.
Follow the trends. This
Point
has
that
gone
pen
over 3 weeks in a row. I'm going to stick with it.
Well, I was
Over.
about to go under until Paul told me that, so I'll go over 2.
Stephon Diggs, receiving yards.
The worst.
Mike's favorite player at 65.5.
You going to make me do it first?
Yes, because
Under.
he's your favorite player.
Under all day. Christian Gonzalez is going to shut him down, even in zone defense. You heard it here first.
I think that number can go under, and it could be that Diggs even has a couple of scores, but they're shorties. You know, like red zone touchdowns. Paul?
Yeah, I'm going to take the under because I think Diggs is done.
Oh, wow.
From your lips. God's
hour and a half into the show, and you're just now starting out with that.
Well, I said they don't have a lot of receivers without Nico Collins.
Okay. All right. As you were watching and listening, well, not listening, you wouldn't be able to hear the fact that the warm-ups have started and the Patriots are in there. Nice, crisp throwback reds. And there is Drake May with the other quarterbacks. I'd like to know if there's a nice, loud ovation out there for him. Most of the people are still tailgating, I would think. Okay, moving on. Joey Sly, kicking points, 5.5. Let's go Paul first.
All right, tough one. I'm going to take the over.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Paul on that one.
2 field goals.
2 field goals, maybe a field goal and 3 extra points. Just kidding. I'll go 2 field goals, yeah.
A lot of turnovers today for the Texans.
Don't need to be that rude, Paul. I will go over as well. The last number in the over-under category is the total score of being 38 points. Mike, you go first.
I got to see it to believe it. I'm going to go under on that one.
I concur.
I'm going to take the over.
Ooh, Paul. Exciting. It'll be fun. A lot of points, a lot of scoring, a little dinner, a little dancing.
Not going to be fun.
Okay.
Not going to be exciting.
There were your over-unders. Don't forget that the Patriots Pregame Show is brought to you by DraftKings, who are responsible for those numbers. Stay tuned because you'll hear more about DraftKings and all it has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings. The crown is yours. We'll be back with more from Gillette Stadium right after this.
You've got to watch your NFL team every Sunday, and Verizon's got you covered for all your team's out-of-market games every Sunday afternoon. Come on! From kickoff to sign-off, from first downs and touchdowns to turnovers and overturned plays.
After review, the pass was incomplete.
Let's go! This season, win every Sunday with Verizon. Get a great deal on NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV and a new phone. Excludes digital-only games. Terms and embargoes apply.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes,
oh no.
Replacements were shipped with FedEx. And with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
You've got to watch your NFL team every Sunday, and Verizon's got you covered for all your team's out-of-market games every Sunday afternoon. Come on! From kickoff to sign-off, from first downs and touchdowns to turnovers and overturned plays.
After review, the pass was incomplete.
Let's go! This season, win every Sunday with Verizon. Get a great deal on NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV and a new phone. Excludes digital-only games. Terms and embargoes apply.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes,
oh no.
Replacements were shipped with FedEx. And with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
You've got to watch your NFL team every Sunday, and Verizon's got you covered for all your team's out-of-market games every Sunday afternoon. Come on! From kickoff to sign-off, from first downs and touchdowns to turnovers and overturned plays.
After review, the pass was incomplete.
Let's go! This season, win every Sunday with Verizon. Get a great deal on NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV and a new phone. Excludes digital-only games. Terms and embargoes apply.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes,
oh no.
Replacements were shipped with FedEx. And with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
Join the conversation by calling into the TPX hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at podcast@patriots.com. Now, live from our studios, here is Matt Smith.
And there you go. You're looking at him. Number 10 in red. He looks good. Well, you were looking at him right out of the chute, and that was Drake May, who'll be starting at quarterback today
He
for
looks
the New
good.
England.
Why was
he looks good? Yeah, it was very Fred-like.
Why was Drake getting the snap from Ben Brown?
Oh.
I didn't notice that.
Is there going to be a change to the starting lineup?
Is it not prescient to not prescient? That's the wrong word. Wouldn't you want him to get snaps with every potential person who's playing center today?
I don't know. At this point, I'd be like, "You're starting with him. Let's get warmed up."
Every
together,
single
guys.
snap.
I think. I don't know. I mean, we just saw one snap. Maybe we'll get back to them. And he's over. Paul, which by the way, the Twitter account on what is it? Patriots Unfiltered, out of context, clipped our story this week about the center talk and you referring to all your various centers from Everett that you had your hands under their butts and received snaps from over the years.
John Shanna would definitely. Yeah. So I finally, I was driving home and I went, Dennis O'Donnell.
Another butt.
That was my senior year. He was a junior. I remember. Dennis was excellent too.
Good stuff there. Mike from Wilmington.
I don't appreciate the tone.
Good stuff there.
I don't care for it. I don't care for the tone.
Well, that's fine. Then.
If you can't participate in the reindeer games, we're going to have to go in another direction.
Oh, look at this. We got Matthew Judon Jr. here. And
He really can't.
Gibson.
He can't participate in reindeer games, Mike.
Sorry.
Well,
I'm sorry.
Huh. We'll see what happens next week when you're in London.
I hope Gibson. That doesn't mean he's a fraud like Judon was.
Oh, wow. He really is Fred. As soon as they leave, the rocket shots come out.
No, I think I said it when he was here.
Yeah, but not on the air.
Maybe. Well, I didn't have a role at that point in time. Mike from Wilmington writes in, "Hey, crew, I'm going on record, speaking of record, that I think we're making a mistake playing Drake early in the season because I'm afraid he's going to develop bad habits from having to overcompensate for a bad supporting cast. But," and the "but" is in capital letters, "the decision has been made and I'm on board. I'm rooting for May to overcome the adversity and will be cheering for every pass. Go May and go Pats." That's a good Patriots fan talk right there.
Yeah.
Doesn't like it, but he's going to be behind it. That's what a fan should do.
You don't have any choice.
I know. Well, you think if he plays...
Well, he could be against it and be pissy about it. That's
No,
a choice.
but then you're not a Patriots fan.
Okay.
I mean,
if you're a Patriots fan, you need him to play well.
Right. Well, then if he plays well together, are all the people who are scared to play him going to be like, okay, I guess it's all right now? Like,
no, they'll just wait till next week.
Right,
like,
exactly.
He still shouldn't be in there.
Pollyanna's like, oh my, he's going to get hurt.
He could die.
Right. Right.
Yes, it's a very violent physical game. Guys get how many times a week in the press box, Mike, do I look at you and say, it's a violent game?
No, that's my favorite thing to do on any, even when you're not around now, Paul. It's a violent game.
By the way, if Ryan of the field operation crew ever needed any extra help, if they were down some people, just go up to the press box because they've got people who can move goalposts better than anybody in the business, right?
That's good, man. I like that.
This is a question about the offensive operation from Emery, who writes, "Hi, guys. Is AVP someone who will be in Drake's ear up to the 15-second mark, telling him what coverage the defense is showing? Do you think he should engage in that level of hand-holding, or do you want Drake to have to figure that out for himself?
Well, yeah.
And don't teams change at the 15-second mark? Isn't that part of disguise?"
Yeah, but you got to help him as much as you
Sure.
can. Sure.
And the second part of his question is, do you think the Patriots will use more tempo with May starting if they can move the ball better? It might help slow down the pass rush. Hadn't heard that thought yet on tempo, and I think it's an interesting one.
I think it's just a little hard. I think that's one of the biggest things we saw and heard from May over the course of the summer was, as a rookie, like I remember him being like, I got to talk a little slower in the huddle. You even heard it this week, I felt like, in his first press conference where, he's excited. He kind of starts to do what I do sometimes, start motoring a little bit.
Moving your hands?
Well, with your mouth, blah, 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 spitting it out, making sure everybody's got the play call. Those are, easy ways to get everybody kind of discombobulated. So I would say let's just be calm. You're not going to try to push the pace just yet.
Okay. Did I hear somebody say it's McCorkle time?
Yeah,
Indeed.
he's in.
McCorkle is in for the Jaguars.
Okay.
So my feeling would be on the tempo offense is you can't complain about how little you've possessed the ball and then want to possess it less. Like, whatever they do, they need to execute better. They can't have, Mike, 3 and outs?
3 and outs.
Yeah, so if you better make sure that you execute it, because if not, you're just going to end up with a lot of quick possessions and having your defense out there. And I don't buy the whole they were fatigued and ran out of gas nonsense. Like, I didn't buy.
You mean their defense?
That's not why they beat Cincinnati in week 1. And
took them to the hill.
It's not why they lost last week.
Well, they didn't take him to the hill.
They couldn't take him to the hill.
But I just think you have to be careful with tempo. And I don't know if that's something that you want to throw something extra on a guy's plate in his first game. We haven't really run this much, but you're going to go out and do it. Oh, Mac Jones goes
As you're
down.
looking at the pregame warm-ups, and of course when I'm going to mention something, we switch off of it. That's okay. That's okay. Hunter Henry in the sharp red unis. Not a lot of talk about him, but he could be Drake May's best friend today if he can uncover, which is another fancy way of saying get open. But I would think that Hunter Henry could really be a nice. That could be an asset for Drake May today. Don't you think?
I wrote that in my 10 to watch today. I mean, that's kind of a cliche of the old wily veteran tight end who can find the holes in the zone and sit down and give them the easy plays. But I think there's a lot of
you
truth
could
to
use
that.
some of those.
That's just.
I'm
what
looking at
Hunter
that
Henry
guy
does.
right there, Demario Douglas.
Yeah.
Bubble screen?
No,
Slant.
crossers. Like get
Yeah.
him in space and have him
those
across the
overs
field.
or unders?
The 4th and 10
Both.
against the Jets. You know, remember the 4th and 10 against the Jets?
Yeah, it was one of the best throws.
One of the
we've seen.
5 best plays the Patriots have had this
Yes.
season.
Yep. Yes.
Now, I know it was in garbage time. I want to see a few of those today.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Okay, let's take a look at the lineup around the league today as we do our Sunday six-pack.
This is the Sunday six-pack, so kick back and listen to my position. I'm itching to get the picks back. You better bring a big stack. Get it mixed, Jack. I came to win it, yeah, this is the Sunday six-pack.
It looks like a lot of mediocrity record-wise here, Paul, on the Sunday six-pack.
That's
Yes
the
or
whole,
no?
Yeah, that's the whole league. Everybody is, there's 2 undefeated teams and no one winless anymore, right?
Well, Jacksonville was the last one, weren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's right.
So
I only follow the Patriots.
It's a lot of 2 and 3, 3 and 2 teams this week, and yeah, that's what you got. Pete Rozelle special.
Did you want to say who was in the lead?
Oh, sorry. Last week, Mike and No Socks went 3 and 3, and Paul went 2 and 4. So No Socks has the lead in the six-pack, 14 and 2. Thoroughly adequate in your adequacy.
Yes, that's
Mike
me.
at 13, 15 and 2, and Paul.
And I can't.
Much like the picks contest on PU, Paul is just
Stinks.
all out of sorts this season for whatever reason. 11, 17 and 2.
Okay. I can't pick my nose, so anything that I hit is actually blind luck. But we'll kick off with the 1 o'clock games, where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers travel to New Orleans. They've been in New Orleans for a while, thanks to the hurricane. What a story that was, you know. Them leaving on Tuesday to get there and everything like that. I think I read something the other day, not to deviate, but I do like a little weather here and now, that Tampa was spared, that they didn't get walloped like people were fearful of. The place where the Tampa Bay Rays play, I think, is going to be a tough one to have a game in April. But
yeah, the roof is
there's
no longer
more roof.
there.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into millibars, but I did hear the hurricane took a hard right, and that
Okay.
saved Tampa Bay. So.
Like that. I'm here for that talk too, Mike. Anyway, Tampa at 3 and 2 goes to New Orleans, and they've been in New Orleans. Who are 2 and 3 in New Orleans is without the great. Is it which
Derek.
car is it? Derek.
Yeah.
Derek Carr.
Hey,
So-
Spencer Rattler. Spencer Rattler.
Right. So
Rattler.
another rookie quarterback going today. Since I'm talking, I'll go first and say I like Tampa giving the 3 and a half.
Okay. Yep. Go ahead. I want to make sure you.
No problem. Oh, I know that's the only number
3 and
that
a half.
matters. Is the last number.
Tampa by 3.5. You going Tampa?
I
no,
am.
No Socks?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
and put Deuce down for Tampa as well, please.
Yeah, I'll make it unanimous. I won't be able to pick up a game on that one, but I like the Bucks.
Yeah. I know people are out there saying, don't miss this game, Washington against Baltimore. I will miss it and miss it gladly. But Washington is at Baltimore. Battle of the Beltway, where the
So let me
4-1
guess, both
Commanders.
of those teams stink too, right?
I didn't say that.
Well, that's generally the.
No, I just
tone.
overhyping a game between Washington and Baltimore in Week 6 doesn't do a lot for me, but that's me.
I would say it's the second best game on the schedule this week.
Hey, Vince Wilfork wearing the old throwback hat. That's a beauty shot
Saw
right there.
Vince at practice earlier this week when he was with his former teammate Gerard Mayo. The 4-1 Commanders travel, not a long trip by the way, to the 3-2 Ravens. The Ravens are a touchdown favorite.
6, Mike, not 7.
6, not 7.
That's a touchdown.
In case you are in the American football and you think of touchdowns as being worth 7.
So kick it off, Mike.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Washington plus 6. I still think Baltimore gets the dub, but I think it's gonna be close. I'm gonna take the points.
Yeah, I have a hard time laying that many points with the Ravens. I'll take Washington as well.
Does the Ravens defense stink?
Yeah.
Do they? You know what, just to be different, let's go Ravens, and I'll give. In a giving mood at 1 o'clock. 4 p.m. games.
I hope you are right.
This is a AFC West barn burner where the 2-2 Chargers take on the 3-2 Denver Broncos at Mile High. And the Clippers are 2.5-point picks, huh? Wow.
Yeah, neither one of these teams has much offense, but I'm going to take the lack at Mile High.
Yeah, it sounds like Herbert's healthy, but I mean, I don't know. Those high ankle sprains, they don't get better in like a week and a half.
I agree.
It seems a little strange. I like Denver's defense at home. I'm going to take them. I'll take the points.
I am going to ride with Michael Dussault and the Denver Broncos defense. Good call there, Deuce. I like Denver in that one. Paul's Super Bowl favorite team, the Detroit Lions at 3-1, go to Dallas to take on the 3-2 Cowboys. I think Brady might be doing the Dallas game, I heard.
Another terrible team that Matt can't stand. Lions by 3. I will take the Lions, Mike.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Cowboys in this one. I don't know. Dallas at home, they're kind of mercurial. I know it's weird to take them. They seem like they're up against it, but I don't know. One of those weird ones where all of a sudden it clicks for them randomly one week and they win.
Who did Dallas beat last week, which was a decent win? Yeah, I mean, Pittsburgh's not what they were. Weren't they undefeated coming into the game?
No.
Okay.
They were undefeated coming into the previous game.
Okay, I like
Correct.
Dallas. It was a good win on the road for Dallas. I like Dallas this week at home against the Lions. Monday Night Football has the 3-2 AFC East leading Buffalo Bills going to the Meadowlands to take on the 2-3 New York Jets. And without Robert Saleh, Buffalo a 2.5-point pick. I like the Bills to get back on track.
Yeah, I'm tempted by the Jets just with that new coach bump kind of thing that tends to happen, but they've just looked disjointed to me for a while. Heard Bill Belichick on one of his shows talk about that, saying similar things. Just looks a little off to him. So I'm going to go with the Bills on the road.
Bill was critical of the Jets.
Yeah, I know.
You
wouldn't believe it.
Didn't see that coming.
It's true.
Yeah, I'm going to take Buffalo, too. This is a good defense for the Jets' offense to get right against, though. Bill's not stopping anybody. I don't know. A lot of injuries. I don't know how Buffalo scores against that defense, but I'm going to take Buffalo. I just feel like they're a little bit better. But no Shakir. No, you're like, not. I don't think James Cook is playing.
He's
I don't
not.
Feel, I don't
he's
feel great about it.
for sure.
I don't feel great about it.
And finally, the last game on the list, 1 o'clock today from Gillette Stadium, the throwback uniform New England Patriots hosting the 4-1 Houston Texans. Paul.
Yeah, I mean, I am really going to focus on Drake May and less on the actual game itself because I don't think this is going to be a good one for the home team. I just feel like you're asking a lot of a rookie to come in and jumpstart an offense that hasn't been able to do anything so far in 5 weeks. And I think it'll take some offense to compete with Houston. I'm going to say the Texans have enough to win here. I'm going to say 27-13.
Close.
Deuce?
I feel, echoing Paul's thoughts, I was a similar kind of score. I'm going to say Houston 27-17, but a couple touchdowns, hopefully one of those Drake throws, and you got something to build off of. Little bit of juice, little momentum.
This one picked with his heart and maybe not his head. I think Houston's going to win the game. I think they're going to be in for a battle. I think New England gives them a good test today, and they bounce back. Cleaner game, hopeful game, and it'll be a fun one to watch.
You know, it's going to be weird watching Taki
So
in
what's
the
the
red.
score?
16.
I don't ever pick scores, Paul.
So who are you taking?
I like the Patriots with the points.
I was about to say it's going to be weird watching a red 16 Steve Grogan jersey playing linebacker today with Taki as we saw earlier.
Red
It's a little
Steve
strange.
Grogan
Red
wore
14.
Oh, what the heck am I thinking about?
I
Jeez.
have
don't
no
know.
idea, and this is why I wonder what I did when
I just
hired
take my
you.
Patriots card back right
Can
there.
I go back?
I'm going into 80s
Can I go back in
Patriots
time
jail.
and redo that?
Because it was Zoe
It's like a
16.
it's like it's a lost draft.
What was
class.
wrong with me? Ah.
It's a missed,
You want to take a
missed
draft pick away
opportunity.
from him?
No, I want to
Oh, okay.
redraft and not hire him.
Oh, that's a little harsh, but I think
Okay.
it's definitely worth a wrist slap.
Probably a little harsh. You're
yeah.
right.
What about
You're right.
all we've done on PP and the Deuce? We're
That is
really
true.
making strides.
We did. We
Well,
did.
I deserve the criticism on that one. 14 was Steve Grogan, and I saw him play in person quite a few times, and I take the L on that one.
But your greater point is a value.
That's a 16 on defense, right?
Why is a 16 wearing defense?
I'm just getting used to-
defensive line, a linebacker.
Yeah, I'm just
specifically.
getting used to single
Are
digits.
you upset
for
about that,
receivers.
Tom Brady? It's so hard to figure out who's on defense.
Right. Yeah, he really had a tough time.
So ridiculous.
Right.
Suck it up.
Less than 30 minutes or so before kickoff between the 4-1 Texans and the 1-4 New England Patriots, and most people's eyes will be on the rookie quarterback. And
Not mine.
Drake
I was
May.
just kidding. Mine
Drake
will be.
May.
Yeah.
Drake May. I think it gives everybody a little hope today. And I do think there's a bounce in everybody's step. I'm looking forward to it. Very, very much so.
Well, look at the Bears. I mean, the Bears just posted a 35-16 win. Caleb Williams threw 4 touchdowns. Had a bad pick in the middle of the game, which, so you can make those mistakes, but the progress is starting to happen.
So
I think
a lot of
Chicago
people
feels
are
like
telling
they
you
got
that Ben Brown, by the way, is lining up at center.
starting the game.
So, I mean, when you said that he was taking a snap from him, I don't know any other reason why you would do that if he wasn't going to play.
Interesting.
This is really interesting to me.
Yeah.
I think they just want to have that factoid of having a different starting line combination every game.
So I'm sorry that I don't know the answer to this question. Was Leverett on the injury report?
I don't have it in front of me. He has been, though. He has been. Yeah. I've lost track here over the last couple of days.
Yeah. Is that the Twitter army out there, offensive line groupings? Paul, is that where you're getting that?
Yeah. Yeah. Vadarian Lowe,
in
Michael
multiples?
Jordan, Ben Brown, Mike Owenu, DeMontre Jacobs. Left to right.
Can I change my pick? No, that's a tough spot to put May in. Somebody must like Brown, huh?
Yeah, I mean, Barth and everybody reporting that. So, we'll see. I mean, I also stood out to me that you saw Ben Brown had that giant arm brace on, too. So, I mean, maybe he's kind of seems like he might be dealing with something. I don't know if that's just.
See, this is the kind of stuff. Can I do what I do a lot?
Please.
When I pick on my colleagues.
Yeah, please.
Chris Price, who, love him, mean it, great guy. Been trending this way with Brown the last few days.
He's only been here for a few days.
Per a team
Jeez
source, he
Louise.
got a ton of work at center on Thursday. Then why didn't you tell us that?
Yeah. It's out of nowhere for me.
Why didn't you tell us that?
Right.
And I apologize to Chris if I missed it, but that's relevant information.
Yeah.
If someone told you that he was getting a lot of work at center, you should, that's good reporting.
It is good reporting.
But
and
I would have liked to have known it
before you saw the offensive line configuration during pregame warmups.
Yes.
Right. All right. You know what? You just jogged something in my head, Paul, that I have to ask about. And a big fan of Devin McCourty. And McCourty's getting dragged a little bit, or at least his tweet is being amplified this week, because McCourty tweeted, when was the decision made? Gerard told the players Monday night. It was announced on Wednesday. And Devin wrote something on Twitter saying, geez, wouldn't it have made more sense to maybe keep this one under wraps and let the Texans think about who might be starting at quarterback? I'm surprised at his take on that, number one. And with the quarterback, I'm not saying that you have to do it this way, but I don't even think, when Bill would used to keep under wraps for the sixth string long snapper for competitive reasons, I don't think he would do that. So I'm wondering your thoughts about Devin saying that.
Based on being in the locker room, being around this team, it's impossible. How could they have possibly done that?
Because the coach needs to send a message to the team. Is that why you're saying that?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's going to get out somehow. I mean, he's going to start getting the first team reps, and are you still going to roll out Brissett on Wednesday as the starting quarterback? There's just a lot of things that go on that I don't know. I mean, and Devin knows probably better than I do.
Much better.
But
no disrespect to you.
No, I know, and none taken. I mean, he's been in an NFL locker room for however long his career was, 12, 13 years. So. Yeah, it's just tough. I mean, maybe they just did it with the center though. That was their big surprise.
Paul, did you see it and your reaction to it?
Yeah, I saw Devin, tweeted about it. I just don't really think it's. I mean, not that this doesn't mean you can't do it that way, but I don't think it's done that way. The Raiders made a quarterback change and similarly announced it early in the week. I think it's especially in this situation with the rookie heir apparent. I think it's sort of like kicking off like a new era in your team, and I think you embrace that. I think you go forward. Everybody, I think it's a strong statement. Like, we're not trying to hide anything. We're telling you we feel great about this guy, and we have confidence in this guy. We're making the move. We're going forward, and we're not afraid to tell you what we're doing. And I think it sends a message.
Yeah.
Right,
almost.
And I don't think that's part of Gerard's MO, the skullduggery, and we're going to keep.
Well, I just don't
under wraps.
I just don't think it's generally done that way with quarterbacks.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Various spots. If you have a wide receiver, let's say Nico Collins was
a game time decision.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Don't tell us. Make sure the other team is preparing for Nico Collins all week. I mean, I get it, but you're preparing for the quarterbacks. You're preparing for the offense. Now, if it were, I could understand if you were really trying to fool someone and keep them in the dark. If it was like the backup quarterback for the Patriots, it was Tom Brady's the starter and Lamar Jackson's the backup. Okay, now I have a reason to maybe keep that identity of the starter under wraps. And this happened to the Patriots 100 years ago. Matt will remember this because Matt's a psychotic like I am. In Atlanta with the Falcons. And Michael Vick.
Oh, Bill was pissed. Oh,
Michael Vick was supposed to be the quarterback all week. Game day inactive out of nowhere. No one knew anything about it. Matt Schaub was the backup and threw for like 330 yards.
Earned
or
himself
something.
a contract with the Texans.
Ripped him up, and Bill was livid.
Right.
That I can understand why you would keep under wraps. Two entirely different styles.
Right. What if? Can I throw another one at you? Just say, what if? And I mean this with no disrespect. What if your choice between quarterbacks is a backup versus another backup? Like the guy.
Oh, like Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell right now with the Raiders.
Right.
Who cares?
Right. you know. But even then, Antonio Pierce said that
right away.
O'Connell's the starter.
Right away, he named O'Connell the starter.
Because I think there's a benefit that the whole team knows what they're doing, and it's tough to keep that under wraps.
Yeah, I agree. Did you guys like the whole timeline? Are you guys confused at all about the timeline with Mayo? Like on Wednesday, he said they spoke with the quarterbacks yesterday, and then later in the week, people were saying he told them Monday.
Yeah.
Like, what is that all?
I don't know.
I think
I missed that.
Much ado about nothing. I think, and I think
well,
what
I think
he
it's
said.
a lot ado about something. I think he was mad about it. I think Mayo was upset on Wednesday about that.
Okay, you mean because what the reports were?
Yep.
Okay, and I think what Mayo said, and I don't have the transcript here in front of me, but I think what Mayo said, I informed the quarterbacks the other night.
Yeah.
I think is what he said.
I believe he said last night.
Okay,
I don't know what
all
it
right.
says on the transcript.
Okay.
I believe he said last night.
Okay.
Can we drill down just a bit on this Ben Brown thing? What do you think that means? I mean, is that a reflection of how they feel about Leverett? Do you
Who
think
did not play well last week, right?
You know, do you think it's a reflection that they
I
feel
do
really
wonder
good
if
about
Matt's
Brown?
right, though. I wonder if Matt's right in that it's a health thing.
He's banged up, and maybe then that's part of the reason why he had some struggles last week. He's dealing with something, maybe. But I mean, again, we talked about how crazy it was that Mapu just came in and played. I mean, Ben Brown's even been with the team, you know. So and especially in this offense
odd.
where you're.
And he's never played like he has like 8 snaps all at guard.
Yeah, this is his first NFL start, and you know we heard about how important the center position is. Jacoby Brissett talked about David Andrews
sort of flies in the face of that.
Yeah, when you first started talking about it, I didn't even think it'd be an option because he hasn't played. He's a rookie, he hasn't played, and now he's starting. Like it's odd to me, absolutely.
And wonder if it's a similar situation. Again, on the list of problems or concerns that you have for the Patriots, I think this one is well down the list, but. City So guts it out and plays against the San Francisco 49ers, then doesn't play.
Yeah.
You're wondering, did he play because they had nobody else to play in that San Francisco game?
Yeah.
And when you got somebody up like Jordan and he's healthier, might not be better, but healthier, you put the healthier guy in, is it possible that could be going on at the center position?
Yeah. I mean.
So Leverett is on the injury report with an ankle. He was limited all 3 days, listed as questionable. So that's possible. City So is no longer on the injury report.
I mean, this also then flies a little bit in the face of like, well, don't start Drake when David Andrews isn't going to be there. I mean, now this is as extreme as you can get.
100%
for a center starting with a rookie in his first game. So, I think this it adds a whole new dimension to this game a little bit. How much is Ben Brown able to hold up? I mean, who is this player? We haven't seen him at all. I mean. You spend all summer watching all these guys, you develop all these opinions, and then all of a sudden you get to this game in week 6, and it's like, surprise, you have a new center who's starting like out of nowhere.
Right. So methinks that there's something that might have happened here. Is it possible he tweaked it on Friday, and it got worse? Because I think there was, Gerard joked about it a little bit on All Access where he said, 5 straight weeks we're the only team in the NFL, and it's been 5 different line combinations, and he was looking forward to the fact of running the same 5 guys.
See, now that adds further context.
Right. And Vidarian Lowe, another guest on All Access this week, said sort of the same thing. Continuity is important. It'll be nice to have the 5 guys out. I wonder if he tweaked something.
And I mean,
I think you're right.
Yeah. I mean,
based on that.
Right. It doesn't seem ideal. It doesn't seem ideal, and especially with just how important the center position is to this offense and the calls that he's going to have to make today.
When did they make the move? They signed
Wednesday
him
night.
Wednesday night. So I wonder if he tweaked something Wednesday at practice.
And they had to go get
which would have been after we talked
but
to
again,
Gerard,
though,
right?
like
for All Access,
Brian
correct?
Hudson, I think came here,
Yeah.
not in training camp, but I mean, again, like at least that guy's kind of been here. I mean, he's got at least some kind of knowledge base. I mean, so I don't know.
This guy has some familiarity with the West Coast system, correct?
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Not Suboptimal. How about that?
Suboptimal, but an opportunity. And if he plays okay and doesn't allow 10 pressures, then maybe you say, hey, maybe.
Well, I think that's what you're going to get with Drake May today.
Yeah.
I think, my feeling right now is the postgame show is going to have more optimism than not, because I feel like even if it's the same exact offense that we've seen the first 5 weeks, it's going to be perceived better.
Yeah.
Well, because you're going to get a splash. You're going to get a splash play here. You're going to get a splash play there, and people are going to go gaga
I'm saying
over it.
even if you get the same offense you got the first 5 weeks with no splash plays,
yeah,
it's going to feel better because he's playing.
But don't you think if they get the offense could be similar, but he's going to pop here or there? I love that one.
Well, if he pops, it's better.
Right.
Because they have not popped at all.
Correct.
They've gone.
Did pop?
Right.
No one's popped.
Oh, pops. Or poke pop.
Couple.
Poke,
I mean, they've had a
pop.
couple of, a couple of explosive runs. How were your explosive runs, Mike?
After that Mexican food, not too great.
No, don't tell me when to wrap. I'll wrap when I'm done. No, but they had the 33-yard touchdown or whatever, 30-something yard touchdown for Stevenson. They had the 50-yard run by Gibson. Gibson had another 25 yards. So they've had some popping,
Who
runs.
popped?
They've had some runs that have popped, but not really any plays in the passing game at all.
Well, let's hope that Drake pops today for all the right reasons. The 1-4 Patriots are hosting the 4-1 Houston Texans. Boy, what a role reversal. Remember the days with the Letterman jacket and everything like that? And now here come the Texans as a 7-point favorite. Drake May's first NFL regular season start. A lot to look forward to, and we will wrap the whole thing up on our post-game show. Enjoy the game, everyone.
Thank you for downloading this podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Google Play, and everywhere else you listen. Like the show? Please rate and review us. Listener comments and ratings help keep us high in the podcast rankings so new listeners can find us. Be sure to check Patriots.com for more news and more podcasts.